Imagine everything you love about the hobby in the palm of your hand. An entire store at your fingertips. Everything you need to know about cards is within your grasp. Unlock the secrets of the hobby. Plus, so much more. You don't have to imagine anymore. It's here. Card Ladder. Get the app today.
Good, Josh in here. Hello, Mike. Hope you're doing well. How's it going, Josh?
Good. How are you doing, man?
Doing well. As people pour in, I'm just looking at some NBA scores here.
Okay.
Let's see what happened tonight. The Raptors defeated the Nets by 6.
Dang. KD only played like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I saw a tweet from Woj that said he didn't start because of an inconclusive COVID test, and then because of contact tracing or something, they pulled him out midway through the game again.
Yeah, it was his first game of his career where he didn't start.
Wow. Okay. Is there anything else surprising here? The Pelicans beat the Pacers. Looks like the Pelicans are figuring some things out, maybe. It's a good win for them. Bucks beat the Cavs. No surprise there. Heat over Wizards. Jazz over Hornets. Magic over Bulls. Nothing too interesting there. Let's go here. As people pour in. What's up, David? Nice pair of balls. Thank you, Brett.
I was like, wait, what? Oh, okay, I get it.
All right, we've got the people in here. That didn't take long. All right, guys, welcome to the crossover. Today is February 5th, 2021. We are live on Instagram, obviously, but for those who are listening later on different podcast formats, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc., that is it's Friday night as a frame of reference here. Two quick plugs. First of all, the Card Ladder app is available, the native app. No shortcuts on that app, guys. It's the full thing. It's the full Card Ladder experience contained in an app. We didn't rush. We didn't try to, scramble and put something out that wasn't a fully well-rounded product. Instead, our team took their time, and all credit goes to Josh and Cole for masterminding the app. And the app, from some of the reviews we've been getting, the experience is even better than the website application. There's a free version and obviously, of course, a premium version of the app. So it's the same experience as online. And no matter which category you're in, I think there's a lot of value for you. Very proud of that app. Very proud of the team for putting it together. The second plug I'd like to give is there's a new Sports Cards Culture episode. The YouTube channel is verging on 1,000 subscribers. Thanks, you guys, for checking all that stuff out. The new episode is a pretty fun one. We go a little bit behind the scenes talking about building the app and promoting the app, and that's cool. And then we talk about the Super Bowl. We talk about what to expect to happen with Mahomes and Brady card prices. Just, it's a pretty good episode, I think. So, all right. And then I saw Josh flashing the edge of a card on his screen. So I think that's the cue for mail day. So let's go. What do you got, man? Woo, the dragon. Talk to me about the dragon.
Grant Waldorf Stories found this at the Dallas show and messaged me, and I don't know. These are cool looking, so I, grabbed it. We were joking that I'm kind of copying Tim, Exquisite Collector, who, him and I are kind of we have got the same idea going where we're sort of priced out of the stuff we really like. So, got to get a little creative. I've said that before, and I still like to buy basketball cards, and I got to buy something. So, buy something that catches your eye that's not insanely overpriced.
How do you like the card in hand? How does it present?
It's cool. Yeah, they're very, very, very shiny. Very interesting pattern. I'm usually not a big fan of like green on purple and gold, but it's more like a rainbow kind of effect. So pretty cool.
Those are rumored to be super, super duper short printed right? Like maybe 5 copies or something in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cannot be fun competing against Tim for cards.
You gotta get it where he can't because of physically it's in Dallas and he wasn't. So
Yeah, that speaks to you know,
Neither were you.
the Nate. Well, but Grant
I'm
was.
everywhere. I'm everywhere, Christina. Come on.
Okay, all right. A lot of really good questions, and honestly, there was some anxiety from the community sort of coming through in these questions. So I'm going to try and move us along through them a little bit more quickly, if we can, to address a lot of different topics that came up. First one comes from Goni Goni Go 34. He says, "What is the sustainability of all this madness?" And that's it. So we wanted to comment on it. There's different parts of this. First of all, is this madness? Is that a proper assumption? And then, secondly, what is the sustainability of it?
It kind of is madness, dude. It's like it's always been kind of crazy with the prices, and we've been saying it for I feel like years now, where it just like incrementally just keeps going up. But just this last month just feels like it's just way more parabolic than ever before. I'll let you speak to the actual statistics on that, but just poking through the graphs and stuff, all the high end stuff, all the base stuff, it almost just feels like everyone is in the hobby right now. There's just so much money and so many people buying sports cards. The score on every card is like incredibly high. We were having trouble getting scores at 700. We have 30 cards over 700 score, which and you're looking at the sales every night. It's just like, is there anything left that's untapped? Is there any card that hasn't been found? Any sort of like parallel anything? It seems like definitely the pre-Panini stuff it's what's exploding most. Like all this stuff I'm looking at is pre-Panini. It's rookie cards of Hall of Famers. That's clearly the current path. And people would say, oh, finally, too much hype on the rookies, too much hype on the young guys, and we've been saying that since we started the show basically. And now it's almost feels like it's swung too far. And now I need to start picking up rookies or something. But it's just crazy, man. I don't really know how to interpolate it, so I'll let you jump into the data.
Yeah, I'll just speak to that really quick. In terms of madness, in some respects, that is an appropriate word. With Card Ladder, we have obviously tons of analytics on individual cards, over 7,000 individual cards and counting. But we also do macro analytics as well, which is a very useful back of the envelope style metric. And you can see there on the total sales that we track every day, it has been weeks and weeks of $2 million plus aggregate sales days. And as you look back at that, it was just 2-3 months ago when it wasn't out of the ordinary to have a $300,000 to $400,000 total sales day. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the buyer base has exploded by a factor of 8 to 10x. It doesn't mean that. It might mean that people are just spending more money right now. They're feeling a sense of urgency to get involved. But it also could mean that there are tons of new people coming into the hobby. It very well could mean that. So we think about the magnitude of, we track, like I said, over 7,000 cards. Obviously, we strategically selected the most important and iconic cards to be the basis of the database. We think about, 7,000, over $2 million day after day after day. It's a whole new world. It's a new frontier, you might say, that we've entered into here with sports cards. So that kind of speaks, that's a little bit of insight onto the data side of that. We did see something kind of like this in August, but the difference was the August thing was really tied to the return of sports. Sure. And when sports returned, that sort of let some air out of the balloon. Everybody took a breath. It literally, like, there are still cards like the Anthony Davis Prism-based rookie card that set its all-time high right before the NBA playoffs started, and it still hasn't gotten back there yet. So, like, I think that was a big factor there. Now we have sports. Sports have been ongoing, and it's not prospects or active players so much, with the exception of GOATs, who are receiving a lot of the attention. So there are definitely different dynamics at play here. So, all right, I said a lot. just wanted to speak to the macro of it. Would love for you to, if you have any reaction to that, and then comment on the sustainability aspect of the question too.
I guess one other reaction was like we were talking about earlier, but it's not just Golden that's having massive auctions. It's everybody. PWCC auctions are on fire. Heritage did amazingly well last night. They had incredible all-time highs. The Jordan PSA 10 got up near 700 as well, 700,000. So I mean, everyone is doing really well selling and buying. Buying is just an insane proposition right now. The sustainability. I mean, let's be clear. Like, none of us have a crystal ball. I'm not going to give my financial advice on what you should be doing with how much money is at stake right now. But you know, if it was my money, like right now, I'd be very nervous to buy, just because, in general, if something like 4X's in a couple of weeks, it's usually not going to be that way for much longer. That's just too high up, too fast. There's factors that could that could change that, and that's just that so many people are coming into the hobby, and it's just that could kind of just override everything I've said. I can't predict how many people are coming in every week, but it just feels like every week there's a new celebrity and a new entity or whatever. Like, so this just keeps growing, and I think maybe there's definitely like a lot of like FOMO going on, obviously, with people trying to grab stuff before it's too late, etc. But if it was me, I'd be very cautious buying right now.
Totally. David chimes in, middle finger charts coming on the not so rare stuff. I totally agree. You said something in the first part of your answer. You said it seems like everyone is in the hobby right now. It does feel that way. It definitely feels that way. Although we know now for a fact, because people have spoken up, that there is maybe one, maybe two of these networks of extremely wealthy individuals, in some cases celebrities. We see some of them very publicly, very visibly. Gary V is certainly among them, and he also seems to be the progenitor of these groups sort of forming and getting involved with sports cars, getting excited about them. We've also seen others come in and get involved. We saw somebody who's made a huge splash in sports cars, Rob Go, posted last night that he was, in fact, the winning bidder, setting a new all-time high, the 1986 Fleer sticker, Michael Jordan PSA 10, 200K purchase. That absolutely shatters the previous record, and he just posted the evidence of it to his page. There are these elite wealthy networks, like they involve athletes. And Ken Golden mentioned on his stream today that athletes are involved with this, actors, entertainers, celebrities. These networks are definitely a real thing that's happening. When Gary V was on Golden's stream not long ago, Gary said that he personally could attest to the fact that more people had contacted him who had the means to buy the Michael Jordan Fleer PSA 10 86 rookie. More people had contacted him to buy it than there are copies in circulation, period, and that number is 316. So Gary Vee's basically saying over 300 super wealthy people are interested in buying the 86 Fleer PSA 10 at the current price. That's what Gary said. I'm just reporting it. He said that on Ken's stream. And so I get to thinking like this. What happens if 2 or 3 or 4 more networks of elite wealthy people decide to take an interest and get involved? Because as these prices get so high, staggeringly high, and as they sort of sustain, I mean, the Jordan 86 Fleer, it lost 80 grand in a week, from going from 720 on Golden to 645 on Heritage. And there are several copies on eBay, one of, I think, the cheapest of which is 700K OBO. But clearly the card is finding support well over the $500,000 mark, which is unthinkable. But now that these new prices are sort of locking in, it really adds a level of prestige to sports cards that they just never had before. We've always loved them. We've always seen them as high-end art and high-end collectibles. But at these prices, the prestige that is added to collecting these things, the tier, the level that they enter into as high-end collectibles is just something that we really have to start reckoning with. And it could really permanently alter the way that sports cards are seen and processed and digested in mainstream culture and in pop culture. So I'm actually maybe a little more bullish on this topic. Like you said, are 4x returns in a month sustainable? No. Are the current price levels sustainable? Is long-term growth sustainable? I tend to think that we're actually seeing something transformational happen before our very eyes right now.
Yeah, I guess I should have given the caveat that like I'm more concerned about some of these outside the box cards that are seeing these 4x returns. Like I can understand some of these, Jordan Flair PSA 10. We were talking on the show, like, can that card ever be 500K card? And it's like blown past that in 2 weeks. So I get some of that stuff. I get Mahomes PSA 10. You basically pick your superstar. You figure out their best rookie PSA 10. I kind of get that stuff, but I'm thinking more along the lines of like, 88 Fleer Jordan sticker, $5,000 for a PSA Nikes. Some of this stuff, Topps LeBron VGS 9, $7,000. Pristine, which is like the fifth best refractor he has in terms of brand, is $20,000. I guess I'm more concerned about just sort of this generic lift across the board on everything. But I guess if that stuff wasn't going up and that money had to go somewhere, it would just all go to the same card over and over, and that would just be unsustainable. So people are sort of spreading it out, and cards are pushing each other up, and all boats are rising in these crazy tides. So there's some economics to it that maybe I don't understand, but I guess I just look at the graph of like, a Barry Sanders Topps traded PSA 9, and I get concerned when I see that. It's like, maybe not quite the card that pop 11,000. Maybe not quite the card that everyone should be rushing to go get today, since there's so many of them. But that's where we are.
Yeah. Yes, we definitely are. We will have more questions to this effect soon. I'm trying to bump one up the queue. Damn it, I don't know where I put it. But I'm sorry to the person who asked this question. I'm not going to be able to credit you, but I'm just going to speak to the question off the top of my head because I remember seeing it and speaks to Josh's point here. Here it is, from Carrot Top Cards. He writes in, with everything going straight up in the card market, is 1 year the best time span in which to analyze this new market, or 3 months? So he gives a binary, 1 year or 3 months. Let me say something quickly now. Would love to get Josh's take on this one. Neither is my answer. I think you really, like, especially on cards that Josh was just highlighting, like that Barry Sanders, I think you really want to like look at the last 15 years. You want to zoom out and see and use like a logarithmic scale so that like fluctuations in the earlier period don't get squished. You just want to say, like, is something unusual happening here that didn't happen at any point over the last 15 years? And why? And is it possible that like that's gonna sustain itself or not? There are some cards that have continued to go up pretty regularly and consistently, and then there are others that just have not, and then just seemingly tripled overnight after holding steady for over a decade. So I would say look over a much longer time span, and then once you like actually have the data in hand, then make up your mind. Is this something new? Is this just a bunch of people from an age bracket that want to collect this stuff have come back now? Are they going to stay? Why didn't this card move at all for 10 to 15 years, and now suddenly it's doubling or tripling? What's that all about? So so shameless plug for Card Ladder. Obviously, you definitely want to look at all-time sales histories. You can do that with Card Ladder. It's the only tool I know that will allow you to display graphs going back for as far back as that card's eBay sales history is available. All right, so let me now hop off of my soapbox and see if you have anything to say. What's the best time span on which to look at card values when everything's going up right now?
It's definitely all-time sales history. You always want more data. I guess the question more is around like, what should I focus my attention on if I had to choose? Like, do I want to narrow? I would not narrow my window as much as because I think that's what's causing the issue, is that people have seen stuff 3x in the last 3 months, and they're thinking, oh, it's gonna 10x. I better get in before it gets all the way up to 10x. But this has all happened in the last couple of months. If you step back and think about the hobby in the grand scheme, this is just a meteoric rise right now. Are we going to keep seeing meteoric rises over the short term? Probably not. there could be a correction and then, another lift up. We don't really know for sure, but more data is definitely better.
Right on. Hardwood Cardboard writes in and asks, discuss cashing out, of course.
Sure. Yes, I have a lot of advice here. So for the guys that have been in this hobby, more than like at this point, more than 3 months, we, we've all made money. Pretty much everybody. If you've been in it longer than 6 months, you've definitely made money. And there's no harm in taking your profits at this point. And a lot of us have the ability to. I mean, there's some of us, depending on how long you've been, have the ability for life-changing money, and that's definitely a decision worth considering at this point. There's a tier where it is going to be enough money to make the hobby free. The reality is, like, you can sell some stuff and keep everything else for free, and you're just sort of like freeboating the rest of the hobby. I think that's a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity for you to take that. We don't know if it's going to go up or down from here. Nobody ever does. You can't predict the future. You can take your guaranteed profits today, and you can make the hobby free for yourself. If you have the opportunity, no one would question you. If it 3x tomorrow, still, I don't think anyone should question you. I think it's always wise to make something that you've gone after free for yourself. How can you pass that up? Honestly, it's a great opportunity for that. So, if you're out there and you're not sure, don't be hesitant to sell because of FOMO and because you think it's going to go up forever. Do what's best for you. And for some of us that have been in a really long time, do what's best for you and your family at this point. Like, nobody can question individual cases for what's best for yourself.
Agree completely. Related question, Vintage B-Ball Cards says, please discuss the added stress of increasing card values, which is true. That sounds bizarre maybe to somebody who strictly thinks of cards in financial terms, but as somebody who thinks of it as a collectible, it is stressful to see things that you own become uncomfortably valuable. So he says when to sell, which is related to what you just said there. But he has two questions: when to sell and insurance.
Yeah. The stress that when you said that, I was thinking like, because it's going up so much, the monetary value is adding stress on, having the cards in your possession potentially, or not having it in the PWCC vault at this point. It seems insane for a lot of us. So yeah, definitely look into insurance. I would definitely explore PWCC's options. I'm not affiliated with PWCC. I don't get paid by them. They have great options for the vault that also includes insurance. So you pay to have the card in the vault, but with that you get insurance on the cards. You get a bunch of other benefits if you need to sell it really quick. They're able to put it into their auctions or put it on their eBay, and then you can also take loans against your cards. Really great options. And I think a lot of us are hitting those tiers where that's a really viable option, so look into it. Stress. Honestly, dude, I'm stressed that I'm not going to be able to buy cards for less than 20 grand ever again. It's kind of like, it's stressful. It's scary. Like, someone messaged me today and they're like asking about a Kobe auto, and it was like a third tier select insert gold BGS 9. He wanted $27,000. I was like, what? Dude, that's like a $2,000 card tops. Like, what is happening? Like, I haven't seen the rise on the Panini stuff though. It's like if you're watching my screen as I'm scrolling through stuff, it's all pre-Panini stuff. So there's definitely a lot of Panini stuff out there that is still affordable. I've still been able to pick up, like this LeBron card here that I showed earlier. There's still stuff for sure. It's just, I'm worried that it's going to happen to everything, and it's like, ugh, I'm never going to buy cards again, and I don't know.
Nice. And we've talked about insurance before, obviously, but collect, insure. Again, zero affiliation between us and them, except that, I can say I'm a happy customer, and knock on wood, I've never had to use their services. But collect, insure is one viable option. Okay. Hot topic in the industry right now. Hot topic. This question comes from MXO_cards. PayPal shutting down some people's accounts for razzing and breaks. What impact could this have, short term and long term? Let me make a few remarks to this question quickly.
Please.
The first one is that there was something kind of going hobby viral over the last day or two, relating to the idea that breakers were going to be shut down because PayPal has decided to not allow group breaks anymore. Well, yesterday after that happened, I watched all my favorite breakers on Instagram, which includes Bullpen LA, which used to be Christina and I in my local card shop. Looked at a few other ones. They were all still accepting PayPal. Nothing had changed. And these are people who do volumes in the hundreds of thousands every night. So surely they and others would have been flagged by PayPal, and they also would have switched payment processors because there are other viable ones. They would have done that, I think, pretty quickly at the risk of tying up hundreds of thousands of dollars that can be exchanged on a nightly basis with these high-end elite breakers and card shops. So I cast a skeptical eye on the claim that PayPal has changed or is doing something different with respect to breaking. So what I'm doing here is I'm partitioning this topic into different parts because breaks and razzes are probably not seen as the same thing in PayPal's eyes, and maybe not in the law's eyes either, although I don't know, haven't done any legal research on this topic. But I can say that razzing appears to be understood as a raffle and is something that is not permitted. I think, in fact, maybe even explicitly not permitted by PayPal and perhaps under state laws as well. Razzing is a different topic than group breaking. There could be an argument. How do you distinguish between those two? That's a different topic, not something for us to get into. But they certainly are treated as different things. And razzing is not allowed, to my knowledge. But that's nothing new either. That's always been the case. And then the third dimension to this topic is what about people who are using PayPal, but they're taking things as friends and they're taking professional services and payments and transactions as friends and family deals rather than goods and services. That is also not a new issue, but it is something that PayPal reportedly has been cracking down on more recently, is that people who are transacting items using friends and family, doing business deals using friends and family, when the purpose for that is not for doing transactions. Instead, that's what goods and services is for. That has been cracked down on as well. So if somebody, for example, was doing breaking, but they were taking payments in the form of friends and family, it may have been the case that their account was penalized or suspended on the basis that they were doing things inappropriately through friends and family, not necessarily on the basis of them as breakers. So I wanted to say all that. And now let me kick it to you here, because this is also just more of a general topic, even beyond raking and razzing and breaks. Just basically PayPal shutting down some accounts. What impact could this have on things short-term and long-term?
Well, I mean, I'm glad you covered it because I don't have enough knowledge on this to get super detailed, but just on the surface, razzing is very very close to gambling, and I would assume illegal in a lot of instances and states. And I would study the law on the razz before I even partake. I personally would never partake in a razz anyways. It's straight up gambling. You might as well just gamble on sports anyways, or do something more mainstream, more legal, because I don't understand how razzing and sports cards go together. You're not even trying to get the card, you just want to gamble on it. But the group break has a place for people that want to actually be a part of a break, but they don't want to pay for the full box. They like their teams. I can totally see the merits there. The people that are running the breaks should be taking PayPal goods and services, and I would assume those accounts that you are referring to that are still up and running are doing things the proper way. They have accountants that teach them what's the proper way to do this. They probably read through PayPal's documentation. They've probably communicated, done it the right way. Accounts that are kind of shooting by the hip and flirting with danger and doing friends and family on huge group breaks, yeah, they're probably getting shut down. This isn't like a PayPal has all of a sudden decided to start cracking down on breaking overnight. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just more people are doing it and more people are trying to get away with it. Therefore, we see more people getting busted trying to use friends and family in the wrong purpose.
Totally. And there are people who have, as David points out, legitimate grievances with the breaking, or at least grievances that are not ridiculous. Sometimes the markup on breaks can start to get crazy, and that might not be very fair or reasonable to people who are buying into them. By the same token, consumers always have the liberty to take their dollars elsewhere, and hypothetically, in a competitive marketplace, it will become efficient pretty quickly. So there's two sides to that coin. The dimension of the question referring to what are the short-term and long-term aspects of this, I think there are some people out there who understand that like breaking is a very important part of the hobby ecosystem, and it's a very important part of the chain of custody of sports cards. The cards go from the manufacturer to the distributor to the breaker, and then the breaker performs the service of getting those cards out of those packs and onto secondary marketplaces, and then as singles, and then those singles come home to collectors grade them, then sometimes they get sold again and again and passed around, but the cards get into circulation. And I think there are people out there who feel very threatened and or envious of the sports card market and its growth, and they understand that if they can target and remove breaking as a part of that ecosystem, they can take out a very important link in the chain of sports cards. And so I think they want to do that. I think there is some nefarious intent afoot here. And by the same token, I think there's also people who have lots of legitimate grievances with breaking. So it's a mixed bag. Now, why would people want to do injury to the sports card market? Well, among other reasons, because they'd like to take some of the collectors and people spending money in it and redirect them into their own personal industries towards their own benefit, whether it's memorabilia markets, which is adjacent to sports cards, whether it's sports gambling, which again is an adjacent market, whether it's cryptocurrencies, which is not so much of an adjacent market, but some people conceive of it as possibly being one. So I would keep a very careful eye on the source when it comes to opinion making and trying to drive tastes and preferences, and hold tight to your collector intuitions here and try and suss out what's actually afoot here. Is this a legitimate grievance, or is this an attempt? Is this an attempt to try and disrupt the sports card industry with a different agenda in mind?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, are you hearing more that people are getting shut down, or you actually know more people that are getting shut down? Those are two big distinctions. There's a lot of new accounts popping up right now trying to divert your attention into what they are doing. There's tons of them. There's a lot of clout chasing going on with different accounts that are their only purpose is to get you to want to believe what they're posting, and not necessarily posting any of their own content or caring about what part of the hobby that they're currently in. It's just, here's what look over here. This thing's bad over here. There's all kinds of rumors I'm hearing. You just start spreading rumors pretty quick on Instagram. So like Chris said, be critical, try to understand who's saying it, what sort of information you're getting. Are you hearing it from a source that's telling you their accounts are being shut down, or are you reading it from someone that's spreading it as a rumor? And that's true for everything, not just like PayPal getting shut down, but like people telling you that Zion's overweight or whatever rumor people will start spreading around just because they don't want you to buy cards that someone else has. They want you to buy stuff that they have for the purposes of financial gain.
Indeed, there's a deeper truth there, for sure. All right, much funner topic now, lighter topic. This one comes from the great GMI Flips. He asks, he said, Josh gave out amazing Zags over the last few months, with the 2007 Topps Chrome Kevin Durant refractor being one. What is next?
That was a Zag? I mean, dude, you guys are going to laugh. I'm thinking you should probably Zag back into prospects. It's like, their stuff is like stagnant as fuck. It's all going down like crazy. Do I really think that Zion got 2 times as worse in the last couple of weeks? He's still only played 50 games. Like now I'm at the point where I'm having to like defend prospect. Like, Trey Young is a great investment, guys. Like go buy Trey Young. Come on. No, I mean the zag for me right now is the zag is the same zag as always. Like, where is the attention not? And that seems to work generally well. Like, the attention is right now on Hall of Famers in all grades and early year cards, rookies, non-rookies, base, and the attention is away from Hall of Famers, much later cards. The attention is away from Panini. The attention is away from John Morant, Zion. So it's away from football, except for Mahomes and Brady. Yeah, so I mean that's it's the same formula over and over. If you're looking to buy stuff that isn't super expensive, then buy stuff that isn't super expensive. It's pretty that sounds dumb, but like don't buy stuff that just 4x in the last month, and buy stuff that has gone down if you can find it.
Yeah, and I've never seen a moment in my 4.5 years, being heavily back involved with sports cards. Never seen a time more than now where people buy things after they went up 2 to 3x, like immediately, like no patience, no, hey, wait and see. Like we are really in this FOMO moment where, prices accelerate very, very quickly because people
Sure.
are just like really hopping onto stuff right now. I think the other side of that coin is that prices can drop really, really quickly when that type of person is a person who makes up some share of the people who are holding the card. Like the momentum can and will work in both directions there. So it's even more of an interesting time to look at stuff that nobody else is looking at, because then you kind of also avoid that double-edged sword of momentum that can really catch on to certain cards, I think.
I mean, if I just like go to quarterly change and reverse the sort and start looking, it's like what's gone down in the last 3 months. It's not much, but like definitely some Luka stuff, a lot of John Morant stuff, a lot of Zion, rightfully so. Like, the hype was too high on those guys and it's come back down and sort of normalized. So zoom out on the graphs of those guys, figure out if the price has dipped below what you feel is fair. It's obviously below the preseason hype, but if you feel like it's going too low on some of those cards and now you think it's a good time to buy, I mean, I feel like I've been saying this formula over and over, just like do the opposite of everyone else. Like it just kind of like, and then eventually like, because we were literally just like walking through Card Ladder and being like, go look at Jordan LeBron cards that aren't the Topps Chrome base and like start picking ones you like, and all that shit has like 5x since we talked about that. And I didn't even buy into that stuff because it's not stuff I collect. I just was pointing out like, dude, let's get creative and like try to find stuff that hasn't gone parabolic, and all that stuff is going insane now. So I'm not bragging and taking my victory that, but I'm just pointing out that like I would do that again. I just pick something else. Like right now, I'd be picking stuff that's going down. I'd be picking Russell Wilson. People apparently think he's like terrible now. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers is terrible. I don't know when that happened. After one game, Trey Young is horrible now, which is fine. I said that over and over. There's people that their content was like, go buy Trey Young. It's gonna be the best investment of the year. It's literally been cut in half since then. Like probably a good time to buy something after it's been cut in half.
Yeah, and there is a belief out there. I think it's a little bit wrong, or maybe a lot wrong. There's a belief that like if somebody has a big YouTube channel and they say that something is a good investment, that then it becomes one. Well, if that's true, and Trey Silvers have gone from like 3,500 to 2,300 over the course of since the season began, and that's not even because he hasn't played poorly at all, and his team is currently in the playoff hunt. So there's a lot to like there. One of two things is true. Either influencers don't have nearly as much influence as people think they do, which I think is the case. But also, if influencers do have a lot of influence, what would have happened to that market had they not been extremely vociferously pumping up Trey cards? I mean, I wonder about that. So That's a thought. And then I love GMI Flip's question because you did call out the Kevin Durant refractor. It wasn't a pump. It wasn't anything other than just like, wait a minute, this guy's great. He's about to be coming back. He's going to be on a good team. This is an awesome card. It's limited. There's going to be energy around this guy. It might be something worth looking at. That just is a logic that makes sense and that is transferable, that people can adopt and apply to their own different areas of sports card collecting, the same way that you just said, hey, why don't you just walk through the ladder, look at the stuff that has been trending down lately. Like, this isn't rocket science. But it is hard. It's not rocket science, but it is hard emotionally to steer clear of the FOMO cards and the cards that are going up and up and up. It's difficult to like back away from that, to not go into that party and instead go down the street to the party that no one's at right now and just wait for it to fill up with people. That is difficult to do when there's so much excitement and emotion caught up in cards, right?
Every time that something blows up and you're in the middle of it and you're looking around, you're like, you get this emotional feeling that this is the way it's going to be forever. It's a human nature to think, this current state we're in where, LeBron rookies and Jordan rookies and Kobe's they're just going to be the hottest thing forever. Those guys are never going to get old, or they're never going to people are never going to lose interest in the hobby, but their prices have been outpaced by prospects in the past. There's no reason to think that it won't happen again. And I still see people saying like prospects are way overhyped, still go to the GOATs, and it's like that's been happening and you're still complaining. Like, just let the market run itself. People come and go on different things. Yes, there's a bunch of new people, and yes, most of them are buying the GOATs right now, so that's where the hype is. But that's going to change. People's opinions on things change, and as you've said before, once something starts going down a little bit, you're going to see people flood the market with that kind of stuff, and then you're going to chase it down. It happens every time. It's the middle finger effect. You're going to see some card people are going to get tired of holding. They're going to want to sell it, and then someone else is going to think the same thing, and then all of a sudden it's going to come flying down. It's going to happen on a bunch of different cards. It's not even just like only going to happen to prospects. We've been joking that like the Grim Reaper is coming for you and all these different things, and it's generally been prospects. It's going to be coming for other cards as well, not just these guys.
Definitely. All right. We've touched on this topic a little bit. I want to give an acknowledgement to about half a dozen questions that also came in on it. And if you hear anything that you want to pull out from it, let's do it. Otherwise, we'll move on. So this comes from RV Sports Cards. Do you think these record prices of high-grade base rookies of all-time greats are going to trickle down to current stars and prospects again? Antro Win writes, why shouldn't I be selling legends right now? Sweat47 writes, has the pendulum swung too far from prospects to GOATs? Par Justin says, thoughts on LeBron, MJ, Kobe markets? Are we due for a correction soon? Cars and Candy 911 writes in and says, is the modern market about to boom again? So obviously this is something to pay a compliment to our audience. I think we have a very thoughtful audience, a very smart audience. It seems like lots of people are thinking along these same lines, although that's only 5 questions. In no way, shape, or form is that statistically representative of the hobby. So maybe it's just 5 really smart people, but as a share of the type of questions we got, this is the first week ever that we've gotten questions to that effect, and we got 5 of them. So there's that. And so I don't know if you want to say anything more about the sort of pendulum swinging from all-time greats back to prospects. Is it time to sell the legends now? Any final remarks on that before we kind of move on?
Well, I mean, the time to sell is really a question in a vacuum. Like I wouldn't sell it because rookies are cheap necessarily. I would evaluate it in terms of like, do I need money right now? Is it a PC card, et cetera, et cetera? What we talked about earlier. Do you want to make the hobby free for yourself, life-changing event, whatever? Did the pendulum swing too far? I mean, not really. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes usually in these. I mean, it happens almost every year, like preseason hype on the rookies, then the vets get their love. This year it was just a little more amplified with all the new money. Going into the summer, the rookies will get their love again. It's just, I don't know. I'm not like rushing to go buy prospects right now because like there's not going to be much attention or news on these prospects over the next few months in basketball, at least. Like Zion, his team isn't going anywhere. Trey's team isn't going anywhere. Luka's team isn't going anywhere. So like if you want to go buy their stuff, it's not a huge rush. Yeah,
it definitely seems like the vets are as usual, running things in the NBA right now. I don't know if Giannis is quite in that vet category yet. He's got to be close to it, but otherwise, seems like the teams that are being led by, LeBron, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, James Harden. I guess you have Embiid. He's kind of a slightly newer guy. Jokic is, somewhat younger too, but like the league is just being dominated right now by guys with a lot more experience under their belt, not second year, third year guys. Like it's just the reality of it.
New. That's not news, man. I mean, not to shorten what you said, but like that's kind of how it goes every year, dude. Like you got to go through the lumps. Like we knew this was going to happen. Did you think Trae Young was going to make the finals this year? I mean, come on.
Right.
And even my guy Luka, even your guy Luka, like he was unbelievable last year. He almost took out the Clippers. He had an unbelievable run. Guess what? Like it's not that easy. Like you got to keep doing it. You got to keep getting better. Your team has to improve because if you don't, you're going to get your ass kicked in the NBA. There's too much talent. These teams are too good. If you give even just a little bit and you get a little too high on yourself, I'm not saying that happened to Luka, but there are some signs that indicated early in the season that they weren't ready to play, and the team hasn't been ready, and they haven't been as serious as they need to be, and this is what happens. But again, how old is he? 21?
How old is he? So yeah,
22 this month.
20. Yeah, it'd be 22.
He's 22 freaking years old. Like, I'm seeing people on Facebook being like, Luka's terrible. I told you guys. Haha. Like, Luka's terrible. Their team sucks. Like, dude, he's 21. What did you – this is just going to happen. Like,
I just want to say –
Oh, Christina's fine.
One, Josh, did you just call Luka your boy? Second, their team sucks, but their team has been like the most impacted by COVID regulations.
No, it's true, but we don't get into the weeds of it. It's just it is a fact that the Mavericks have fallen way short of expectations, and no matter what the reason is, it can happen. And it especially happens to younger players and younger teams. Look at the Miami Heat as well. From being in the finals last year to being 8-14 and two places away from being at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, which is a much improved conference this year. But nonetheless, the Heat find themselves in a very similar position. The NBA is a very hard league, to reinforce what Josh said.
And only one team wins. Like, Luka was just like probably not going to win the championship this year, regardless of COVID or any of these other factors. Like I've said it a bunch of times on the show. Like it took LeBron and Jordan, all these guys, many years to kind of work their way up, and it's a veteran league, and Luka's going to have to be patient to get a better situation around him, better teammates. That'll come. He's going to keep improving. He's obviously a terrific talent. I think people are just, because they're all so new to the hobby, they just want like these immediate results, whether he's going to be a GOAT or he's going to be a bust. And that's just not reality. Like these things take time.
They sure do. And look at Giannis. I mean, he couldn't really play a better season than he played over the last 2 years. His team had the best net rating, which is a great predictor of playoff success. And even they ran into buzzsaws in the NBA playoffs, and each time what happened, they ran into a team led by a more seasoned superstar, whether it's Jimmy Butler or Kawhi Leonard. So it's just the way where Giannis is going to be that seasoned veteran after a few more years roll by. So that's a great lesson about the kind of the way the NBA works, different from the NFL in that respect as well, where parity is more of a thing, where there's more of an any given Sunday thing. There's more randomness involved. And, quote unquote, young players are coming in the league at 23, 24, 25, rather than 19, 20, 21. It's just the NBA is a different beast. And Josh just gave some absolute pearls of wisdom to understand the nuances of how that works. If you're buying and selling sports cards based on the expectation of success, it just takes a long time to really become a player capable of contributing on a high level to a championship caliber team.
Yeah, Mahomes is the outlier to this. He just had no ramp up time, no suffering. He lost one playoff game, and then now it's just immediate prosperity and success. He's a total outlier. It's kind of insane. And that team is just That team is just so good. Their coaching staff's amazing. Their offense is like one of the, best offenses of all time. It's a really nice situation. Obviously, he's a generational talent. Also, it's a perfect mix of everything. And man, Mahomes is definitely bucking that trend, isn't he?
He is, but he's also 25. He's the same age as Giannis.
True.
And I saw somebody comparing. He was a good guy. I want to throw him under the bus, but he was comparing Mahomes to like LeBron and Jordan, and he was like, "Did anybody else do this in their third year?" And it's like it's not the same. The sports are very different. You don't get to argue that Mahomes is better relative to his sport than Jordan and LeBron were to their sports based on what each player has done in their third year. There's just many different dynamics at play. With respect to those two, there's so many things that are different. And also, but it was pointed out too that Magic Johnson, in fact, did during his second year pretty much have a sort of Patrick Mahomes situation. And guess what? Magic Johnson had an amazing team around him. So I think
Kareem
sometimes
Abdul-Jabbar in that team.
Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes we get too, as a hobby, we get too excited about trying to draw out comparisons because LeBron's prices are this, so that means Mahomes should be the same, and it's like, whoa, hold on a minute here. That comparison doesn't really hold up to scrutiny very well. It really becomes an apples and oranges thing. I'm an advocate for treating each player as their own thing, as their own market. I think otherwise, you might end up going down some pretty crazy rabbit holes that don't pan out over the longer term. But like the thing to speak to Mahomes too, I mean, you said he's a generational talent, and like sometimes that word gets used around different types of players that maybe aren't. He literally is. The last time we saw this was a generation ago. It was Tom Brady, who by year 2, year 3 was a perennial Super Bowl contender. Like that was the last time we saw this. So he really is generational talent. The NFL is very fortunate to have that guy under a super long-term contract with his franchise and no signs of slowing down anytime soon. So, okay, let's see here. Do we want to keep going on this topic? Let's switch gears for a second here. A little bit of an oddball topic. 2 questions on Marvel cards. Second City Sports Card says, would like to hear your thoughts on what seems to be the latest pump, Marvel cards. And Cards and Candy 911 says, Marvel cards are going insane. The money coming in with these comic guys is insane. I don't know anything about Marvel cards. Maybe I haven't seen any shooting up the submissions portal and card ladder, but maybe there will be when I go check tonight. Do you have any insight on Marvel cards here, or have you heard anything about this?
I haven't heard any. I've heard a couple people mention it at the Dallas show, but I don't know. Like, do people want to collect Marvel cards now?
Yeah, I feel like there's like this as long as the card is like sufficiently rare in a slab, like as long as the PSA 10 pop is like pretty low, and that there's not infinity number of them in circulation, that like cards have a certain potential if a small group of people rallies around them. Maybe like Mbappe got to like 4K. It just kind of seems like there's just like 2 to 4K window of opportunity for cards that are new and people get excited about. The FOMO thing kicks in. I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel cards are just the next middle finger added, or the next bike ramp on the BMX track. But I wanted to give that topic an acknowledgement because we had a few questions on Marvel cards. So I don't know, keep your ear to the street on Marvel cards, I guess. I don't know. Okay, what else do we have here?
Is anyone collecting cards anymore? Is that a question?
Oh, I know that's a rhetorical question, but what do you think as you look out across the hobby these days? Is anybody?
I don't know. We haven't talked about collecting cards all night, so it's been all like, what cards next? the corrections and markets and investments and fractional shares and other Wall Street type words. I don't know. Like, these cards are meant to be collected, and that's why they have inherent value. So I just keep thinking, like, what cards do I want to collect? Because other people are probably thinking the same thing. I don't want to collect third-year Michael Jordan Fleer sticker cards, especially at $20,000 or whatever.
No, and those cards fall into the same trap. It seems like every few years, where they get really hot and as a trickle down from the rookie stuff, and then everybody realizes, do I really, this is like really ugly cardboard. No offense to people who like all those cards. Like, I know some people love them.
Sure. I didn't mean like because I don't think you should collect it that everyone shouldn't. I guess it's more of like an internal self-reflection thing of like, if you're chasing cards that you don't want to own and collect, I think there's definitely places in the hobby for everyone where there's a good mixture of finding something to collect and something you enjoy while also giving yourself financial upside within that realm or item or whatever it is. So like, it's nice to keep your eye on both for sure. I guess I would never like sacrifice the ability to collect and find stuff that I enjoy owning solely for the purpose of making money. And I guess that's my frustration, is that I feel like it's a lot of people only buying stuff for the purpose of making money, when 99 to 100% of that being your focus, versus I'd take 50-50 at this point. Like, I think these are cool cards. Like, I just would love one person to post a card and say they love it because they just want to collect it, versus like the backhanded, this card's amazing, I think you all should like it so that it's more valuable for me. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's like happening for everybody. There's definitely, I'm being dramatic because it's frustrating, but I would like to see more people collect cards again. I don't know how I can't make that happen. I can't wave a magic wand, but I'm sure there's a lot of guys that are also frustrated that, like, let's collect the stuff, and that's what makes it valuable in the first place. I don't know. What do you think about this?
Oh, I think you're exactly right, and I think that there's two types of person who cares about card value, and it's for different reasons, but sometimes it comes off as the same. There's one person who cares about card value because they're interested in seeing how much money they can make, and then ultimately perhaps take that money out of the hobby ecosystem. And that's just not a person who's good for the long-term sustainability of the hobby. On the other hand, instead, what we want is people who want to come in and buy cards, and if their cards go up in value, then they're happy. But instead, they use those cards to trade for other cards, or they continue to collect cards because they have an increasing confidence in the hobby. That is something that makes the industry more sustainable. So then there's the second type of person who's concerned about value, and I think that type of person is the one who sees value increases as validation of their tastes and their preferences. And they feel, to go back to the party metaphor from earlier tonight, they feel like there's more and more people sort of coming to their party. And when the values of cards go up and energy and enthusiasm surrounds a player or a set that people collect, it makes for interesting and fun conversations, and even communities and small networks can be built around stuff like that. Like, obviously, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, these guys have entire, tens of thousands of collectors who assemble in Facebook groups and in much smaller numbers in private chats. Like, and those people love to talk about price increases, and at least some of them are from the collector point of view, just to say, hey, look, like, the stuff that I'm collecting has been validated by the market, and so, like, this is fun and I feel great about it. So, and I think, like, people, myself included, would do well to, like, separate those two out and say, why am I talking about value? Is it because I'm looking to make a profit, or is it because this is just a really exciting validation of, like, the stuff that I collect, and it speaks to the value of these items and it adds a prestige to them?
Yeah, and look, like, I mean, I'm definitely not upset about the price increases of things I own. I'm not gonna lie about that. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and play the Robin Hood role of, like, I'm this completely 100% virtuous person who only collects for the purity. Like I selfishly enjoy the gains that we're making on these cards. It would be stupid to deny the fact. I guess as a person of balance, I try to bring balance to this thing, and it's whenever I see myself getting too greedy over the gains I've made, or I get too wrapped up in like my own excitement around the investment side, which I do a lot, especially in this show. I like to try to balance it with like, okay, let me step back and try to figure out what I want to collect again. Let me try to find a new avenue, because I would never even be in this point if I didn't have that original passion for collecting and the hobby itself. So like I just keep feeding this circle of passion will always lead to the success and the investment of things. So that's like the kind of the, like I said, the cycle of success for me. So I just got to keep getting myself back in that circle, and I think a lot of people would do best thinking the same way.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I agree, and it's just there's a lot more depth and substance when we return to the fundamentals of collecting.
Sure.
It's just it reminds us and it brings us back to what it is that gave life to this whole market in the first place. And I see some discussion in the chat, people expressing a genuine enthusiasm for Marvel cards, and
Nice.
I know what you're doing right now. Let's go. You can't. Yeah, I think that we just always come back to that. Shout out to Jake from 90s b-ball cards for being the first content creator to sport that shirt on a YouTube video. You are awesome for that, dude.
It's cool that there's a Marvel community. I've said it a bunch. Like the Grim Reaper thing kind of makes things uh, somber for some of those areas, just because it's like people are making fun of it because it goes up, and then they're happy to watch it go down. But there actually are communities of people that collect those things that the Grim Reaper's hitting, and if you genuinely like that area, that's awesome. I hope you find a fun niche and a fun community to engage with, and find people who share that common interest. So to see people in the chat saying Marvel is cool, that's great.
Yeah. All right, we've been going for. Let me see here.
Christina,
Christina, how do I see how long this has been?
Tap on the live.
Oh yeah. Okay, we're going for 62 minutes, so 2 bonus minutes on hour 1. So how about we take a break, and then we come back for hour 2. Welcome back, everybody. Look at that. It's a good thing that we do sports cards culture, because I'm not saying I'm kempt now, but I'd be much more unkempt if I didn't have to appear on camera every once in a while, especially during a pandemic.
you get your hair did today?
Yesterday, actually, before we recorded SCC, by a very special barber.
Very nice.
For some reason, whenever I get my haircut, the barber just cuts this pattern, this bald spot in the back of my head every time. I need to get a new barber, I think, is what happens with that.
They're too good.
Next level here. I thought that first hour had so many different topics. It was a fun, and it was an action-packed first hour. I thought I just felt like we covered a lot of ground in that first hour, and then we came back to that same thing too. It all comes back to the shirt. It all comes back to the quote.
I feel like I got a little preachy, so let's loosen up here for hour 2 and have some fun.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Hour 1 is the hobby sermon, as they have said. Oh boy. Why not? Mr. LAGN asks, NBA Top Shot, any new thoughts? I still can't figure it out. Has anybody in the chat successfully withdrawn funds from NBA Top Shot? I'm curious. There seems to be some concern. Josh versus Wash. There seems to be some concern over whether or not people are able to successfully withdraw money from NBA Top Shot, but I can't speak to it. It's just what I've heard. I do know that some sports gambling sites are like this. It can get very difficult to pull your money out.
Yeah.
Especially if you came in on a promo, Like they won't let you draw money out until like you've spent all the promo, and it's the accounting on it is weird, and I don't know. So
There's just like there's a lot of red flags, dude. I just we eventually, at first it's like, I'm not sure, it seems risky. Then it turns into like, enough people are doing it when there's red flags, and it's like, all right, now I need to research and figure out what my stance on it. And just the more that I just hear too many red flags, and I obviously could still be wrong, but I'm still just staying away. It's just too risky, and it's just like yet another thing where we were being told that like all of Twitter was posting that they weren't able to withdraw funds. There's screenshots of people not able to take their money out after they'd made gains, and it's just like yet another thing where it's like, ugh, risky.
So Carvin says for a $25 fee you can withdraw. Twoosh says bought one pack for $15, sold all the moments, have $535 in an account, and can't get it out. So we have seen screenshots from people on Twitter, and then one of our guys in the Card Letter Discord have spoken to the fact that accounts need to be approved, and there is a lengthy approval process spanning several weeks before those accounts can withdraw money. And I don't know of anybody who has successfully gone through that review process. So, but we have Carvin says a $25 fee. Carvin, have you taken money out successfully, or has anybody? I don't know that our audience is full of hotshot people, or I mean, top shot people. But I am curious to know. So we'll let people talk about this. GMI Flip says Mark Cuban had a blog post last week and mentioned both Top Shot and sports cards, and his perspective did give me a different outlook on it.
I don't want to hear about Mark Cuban, okay?
I've never seen you so upset than after reading that article. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had some thoughts in that article. I did read it. David likes to troll us with Top Shot news. I don't know. I just the one thing that I will grant, we know some good people who like Top Shot. We know there are lots of people clearly using Top Shot and buying and selling stuff, and we know that there's some thought is obviously went into it. My one thing that I will not grant Top Shot, there's many things. It is a cryptocurrency. It is made by people who have a successful track record with other cryptocurrencies, like CryptoKitties, I think is the one or something. I don't know. I'm already speaking way out of school here. Let me just get back on topic. The things that I do, look up CryptoKitties. The things that I do know about, and I am certain of, is that Top Shot is not sports cards. All the things that make sports cards unique and different from many other asset classes are the dimensions that make them collectible to us. The physical component to them being chief among them, but also the fact that they have a robust history that goes back generations. The fact that many of us who are in sports cards right now, if not all of us, have nostalgic ties to collecting as kids. So these are properties that Top Shot does not have. And it literally can't have by virtue of it being so new and by virtue of it being digital. So for whatever Top Shot is or isn't, the one thing that I'm sure that it isn't is it's not sports cards. It's not that. And so the gist and the thrust of the argument that Mark Cuban's article was making was that Top Shot is sports cards without any of the risk and the hassle of sports cards. It's all the upside of sports cards and none of the downside of sports cards. So why don't you guys ditch sports cards and come collect 15-second video clips of random moments from NBA games that you can watch at will and that, are in a digital library. So, that is the crux of the movements when people pitch it, is it's sports cards, but it's just better. Well, it doesn't have any of the things that I like about sports cards. It doesn't take me back to childhood. I don't have any nostalgic ties to it whatsoever, and it's not physical. So
I also don't know the details of like the CBAs and like how licensing works for owners in terms of like when NBA licenses products out, what sort of like revenue stream are they getting from that? But I would assume since the NBA is officially licensing Top Shot and Mark Cuban is an owner of an NBA team, he probably has some financial incentive to pump Top Shot. So like yet again, understand that anytime someone is telling you to go buy something with such fervor, there's probably financial reason that they're doing so. So always take that with a grain of salt. Try to suss that out as much as you can. It stinks because Mark Cuban's always been one of my favorite owners, and I've always enjoyed his candor and openness about the league and the way he approaches it. But this one was a miss for him, in my opinion.
I agree. So here's a thought experiment. Slabs, tell me if this resonates or not. Slabs to Men says, people don't buy Top Shot because they are valuable. They are valuable because people love Top Shot. Does it work? Does it sound right? Does that make sense?
People love Top Shot because other people think it's valuable.
Yes, I think that's about right. And
people love Top Shot because other people are being paid to say that they love Top Shot.
David is not going to let this one go with Cuban. He does not agree with you, Chris.
I mean, that's fine. Look, Dave is one of the people I consider a smart, intelligent person who has taken more of an open mind to Top Shot than me. And all credit to him. And dude, if Top Shot works out, that's fantastic. I only get territorial and defensive when people try to, like Mark Cuban did, when they try to capture a sports card audience and then pivot them and say, everything that you have here with sports cards, I just made it even better for you. And it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't check out. And they always like to gloss over that. They always like to gloss over that part of the argument. Just say, Top Shot is sports cards. Look, it depicts athletes and it is numbered and it's called hollows and parallels. And so isn't it the same thing? No, it's definitely not. So that's where I take issue. But if people like Top Shot, they want to make investments in the Top Shot, go for it. Have fun.
What if someone came to you and they pitched a commercial and they're like, do you love your family? Do you love everything about it? Do you want an even better family where you don't have to deal with the hassle of them whining at you? I've come up with this invention of digital family. Just come check it out. It's like,
Oh, that's perfect.
There's just certain things that come up that just sound really great. They sound too good, and it's just like, you should probably be critical of that thing. I'm really weird about the comparisons with random other segments.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best way to sum it up, right there. I would just say that, right? John, Christina makes a good point there. It depends upon how annoying the family has been that day. True. David says, sign me up for NFT family, Tamagotchi family. Oh Lord, what have you started, Josh?
Please move on. I'm so sick of the word fungible. I don't even know what that means still.
All right, what else do we have? Oh, I know one thing we want to talk about in hour one. Fees. Seller fees.
Oh, yeah.
So Golden Auctions set a staggering record price for the 96 Chrome Refractor PSA 10 Kobe. $450,000. Mind-boggling number, among many other mind-boggling numbers, on a $33 million weekend auction, which I think is the record. I don't know, though. I'm not well-versed in that area. Very impressive. A few days later on eBay, a different copy of the same card sold for $500,000. And it sort of calls into question this idea: is there any one right avenue, independent auction houses or eBay, or like PWCC, which sort of merges the two, and this sale was through PWCC. Is there any right or wrong way to sell super high-end items? And it's clear that the auction houses are setting the prices. But, when you see a $500,000 sports card transact on eBay, it's interesting. So one gets to thinking about fees. And the eBay seller fee caps at $750 on high-end items, whether the item is $10,000 or $500,000, the seller fee caps. Obviously, PWCC is going to have a fee. I don't know what it is, but when you're talking about a $500,000 item, you're talking about buyer's premiums and stuff like that. Man, that fee can really, really make a difference. So it's just something worth thinking about here is, or as Card Jam 23 says, straight cash at a card show. Yeah, that's the ultimate way to let a card go. Although you always will wonder, what if I had sent that card to auction? Would it have got more? So
Sure.
what do you think about this? Selling super high-end items.
Yeah, I think there's different ways to sell. There's lots of different options. The 750 is kind of like it's kind of like almost like a secret in the hobby. I didn't even know that really until tonight. I guess I sort of had heard it, but you don't really think about it because yeah, you're losing 20% as a seller on a lot of the super high-end stuff. No matter how high it goes, 20% is a lot of money, and then taxes after that. You're getting whittled down. We see the final price as the one that gets published in articles and stuff, but the seller's not getting close to that with taxes and everything. So it's important to keep that in mind. The eBay cap of 750. PWCC has their route where they're taking a percentage up infinitely in value, similar to the other auction houses, but the percentage drops as the value goes up. So that's a nice option. Just depends on what you want to do, who you're comfortable selling with, which is an important factor. And the eBay 750 thing sounds nice, but having a deal with another buyer at that premium of an item is pretty risky still. Like there's the whole issue of returns. You can there can be some nefarious people buying from you where you ship and they say they didn't get it, but they did get it. There's a lot of risk there, and there's no risk really when you're dealing with an auction house as the consignment company selling for you. So lots of options. I don't think there's one perfect answer. And like I said earlier in hour one, Heritage and PWCC are also doing very well. It's not just Golden. That's clearly where the hype is at because they're the ones driving the prices in a lot of these cases, and they're doing the best job of marketing currently. Props to Ken. He's doing an amazing job. He's putting the name out there for the hobby, and all props to Ken. But he's also boosting up these other auction companies, and everyone else is selling really well right now as well. So lots of good options. I don't think it's just a one-way street. There's not just one right answer.
Yeah, that definitely is the downside to trying to sell an item yourself using eBay without an intermediary, is that you're going to deal with a lot of riffraff, BS offers, people trying to use your listing to set a comp. That stuff is, you're going to subject yourself to that. So then like PWCC is kind of like the go-between, because they obviously are on eBay. They function as an auction house. They are that intermediary. They do collect payment on your behalf, but they still, put in front of eBay eyeballs. But when you go through the independent auction house, the point was made in the chat, and it's worth mentioning too, you can negotiate buyer's premium. In some instances, you can negotiate that percentage down. So maybe just knowing the full menu of options can help negotiate that. And with respect to the eBay cap on fees, GMI Flip says he recollects that he had something larger than 750 using eBay managed payments. Maybe. But I do know that if you go to eBay's FAQ page as of right now, you will see that the seller fee is capped at $750 according to eBay. But maybe something has changed with managed payments. I'm not sure. But yeah, and also to echo Josh's point too, there has been an absolute surge of energy surrounding what Ken Golden has accomplished through the auction prices he's achieved, through the contacts that he is recruiting and bringing into the hobby, and then through the live streams that he's doing with more and more regularity. Midday, several hundred people hopping on those. I definitely hop on him when I see him go live just to see what cards he's showing off that are coming in. So it's just, he's bringing a lot of energy, man. He's infusing a lot of energy into this thing.
Ken's not double dipping on the fees. The buyer's premium, the extra buyer's premium is the fee that goes to Golden for their services, and the seller gets the seller ends up getting the money that you see when you're actually bidding. So the buyer's premium is what gets tacked on after you win the auction. So you bid 100,000, you actually pay 120. The 20,000 goes to Golden, the 100,000 goes to the seller, and the seller can negotiate some of that 20K.
Got it. Okay, so Card Dog says the cap on eBay final value fees with an eBay store is $250. A Goods Only says the original way was capped at $750. They now have an FAQ link for managed payments, and it's been removed. So we need to do some further digging on this, perhaps.
Once again, if you're selling something super high end, dig in and do your own research.
For sure.
Figure out what's best for you. Speak with the consignment company. I always get that mixed up. Speak with the company helping you sell. Make sure you understand every detail of what's happening. It's your card. You are entitled to understand how it's going to work.
Here's the ultimate question. It's like 500 comments ago, but somebody said, Josh, if you were selling your Topps Chrome LeBron, who would you sell it through, or how would you sell it?
I would first attempt to sell it myself through many months of work and networking that I've built up and people that I know that want the card. This just the Topps Chrome Gold.
Mm-hmm.
I really wouldn't sell that unless it was myself. I couldn't bring myself to sending that to an auction house. That's my cheap way of getting out of having to answer the real question of which auction house are you picking, which I know is what people want to know. So I'm gonna take the escape route and say, take the escape route.
Yeah, no, it was an artful dodge of the question for sure. It's good. I
still think WCC is a really good option. I don't know why. I'm not sure why the tone is that PWCC is doing poorly or something. They're still selling extremely well on a lot of stuff, especially like the mid-range stuff.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. They set several records this week. They set the Kobe Chrome Refractor PSA 10 rookie, which didn't last that long. They set the 86 Fleer PSA 10 sticker rookie at 200 that Rob Go bought. Card Dog, DM that link to me, man, if you can. So
people are copying PWCC like across the board. They're copying the vault. They're copying the ability to do auctions plus best offer buy now, which they implemented. They're copying taking loans against things. They're copying the market research tools for understanding pricing, going back to all-time sales history. Like, dude, PWCC is doing just fine.
Yeah. Look, it also in our industry where everybody's doing well, if people are not, super hyped on you, or they're not,
they're failing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But that's not such a bad spot to be in, is my point.
Totally. What was that post with Charlie Munger that I made?
Oh, trumpet your failures, not your successes. That was the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Same kind of thing. If you're doing really well, I think part of that success is keeping it to yourself to a certain extent.
Definitely. And also the hobby is a beneficiary of all these different approaches. You really get a different experience and a different approach with the different methods of selling. Yeah.
Munger is a G. I'm not sure that's...
Munger might take exception to that, let's say.
I'm always optimistic, Paul. I'm always optimistic, dude. That's the way to be.
All right, let's see what else we can get onto here. There's lots of I want to give this question a shout out just because it's worth thinking about. I know there's some Panini affiliated people who listen to this. Matt Johnson 477 said, "Why can't Panini date most jersey patches? There are a few, such as Statline and Immaculate Christmas, but most are undated. Dating jerseys brings a really fun and personal aspect to collecting." So I just want to throw that out there. Somebody asked for it. I see the argument for it, although I've never been a big mem card guy. Yeah.
I guess they could, right? They've done it, so they can. They just choose not to, probably for business reasons, and they maybe don't see the benefit for their own company. I mean, the reality is a lot of these companies don't do what's best for necessarily any individual or what they want. They do what's best for their own bottom line. You always have to remember that. You can't really criticize a company for not doing exactly what you want to do when it's possibly not in their best interest as an organization. So it's, even for us at Card Ladder, like we get people that would like things a certain way all the time, but we sort of have to just say no to certain things because it's not in our best interest. That's just the reality.
Yep, and we backlog things too.
Sure.
Rainy day projects and whatnot. But nothing's ever going to be perfect. There's
plenty of people that don't like me. There's plenty of people that don't like Card Ladder. There's plenty of people that disagree with what we have to say, and that's fine. Can't please everyone. The haters are always going to be there. You know what I mean?
I think Wash. We don't need to turn the hat around for that one.
listen up, all you haters out there. I got something to say.
If you don't have a small number of people who hate you,
you're not doing it right.
You're probably not setting a bold enough step out into the world. I think that's fair to say.
This is where the guy, he goes like, the only person I have to please is when I look in the mirror, I gotta look at myself and am I happy with what I'm doing? Well, yeah.
Yeah, right. right on.
Oh,
sorry, cardboard junkie.
That's really good. See, I like a good joke.
All right. Oh, lots of
We lost 30. We lost 30 people from the live when I said that. Hey, what's up?
Dude,
because they were all nervous. You're talking about them.
I've been watching.
I know.
Our live number. It went up to like 180 in hour one, and then like went down to 130 really quickly. Like I don't know, Instagram's glitching or something, but
I think we're buying people to come in, and then Instagram's tweeting them out.
Hey, Christina, reorder those last 40.
You caught me.
Yo, hold on. I want to do a shout out to Jurgen. I've been saying his name wrong every single live. I apologize. He messaged me super humbly and said it's pronounced Jurgen. So I am an idiot. I'm really terrible at pronouncing names. So corrected it. What's going on?
I share in that mistake too. We thought it was Jurgen, but it's Jurgen.
Correct. He said it's he pronounced Jurgenn. We got it.
That's what's up, man.
There he is. What's up, man?
Here's a topic that came in from Corey Parsons. He wants to discuss the cards no one thought would be worth their time in a PSA 10 junk wax cards. Key rookies for hockey, basketball, baseball, football are going up. Any thoughts? And then here's a second question. Even though these cards are old, is there a big risk for an influx of PSA 10s? Like if people grade them.
Do I have to answer this question?
No. I want to look up something on eBay quickly because Card Gem says the PSA 10 on eBay dropped to $575. Let me see.
Yeah, I guess those are the hot card right now. It's a pretty fairly new thing for that to be super hot. PSA 10s are on fire. Investor guys love the PSA 10s. I really have a hard time as a collector answering this with any sort of excitement just because it's like those cards are so boring to me. So I just sort of like, that is what it is. That's the market. Take it with a grain of salt. If you like it, try to figure out how to buy it. If you don't, ignore it. And this question keeps coming up about this like flood of PSA 10s hitting the market. So I guess I'll address it again. There's no flood. It's a very consistent increase as PSA is growing. They're shipping out more cards. They're grading more cards over time. at a faster rate, but there's not this like flood of 2x increase in pops overnight, and especially on the older cards like 90s and 80s stuff. There's not a ton of raw stuff sitting out in PSA 10 form anymore. As you get newer, or as you go back in time, it gets harder and harder to find tons in raw form.
Right on. Indeed, there is a bin from a seller named Quality Cards with not a low feedback rating. There's a $575,000 bin of the 86 Fleer on eBay right now.
Dude, that is an undervalued card. I believe that it hasn't gotten its due yet, but it will. You just gotta wait. That card is definitely due for some love. It's been overlooked for far too long. Someone hit that bin, brother.
So I just wanted to put that on the screen. Maybe some comments will pour in on it. And as they do, let me just say, to your point, that, man, people are overthinking stuff like crazy. Is it smart to buy these cards? Is the pop going to go up? Is it, first of all, there's common sense dimension to some of this stuff, I think, that's worth thinking about. Old cards are probably not well preserved, so they're not going to grade well typically. But if there's a bunch of them, some of them will. But it goes back to what you said. Is the card important to sports card history? Is it something that you like? Would you be stupid like me and like play sports card fantasy where like sometimes when you're just enjoying your collection, you just lay it all out on the floor. You pretend like you're at a show, like this is your showcase. You're just like, well, what order would I display my cards and how would I line them up and how would I show them off?
You mean Tuesday night at the McDonald's?
So like if a card fits in your dealer showcase and you like it and you're proud of it, like I don't think you need to overthink it that much.
I guess like how many people in the world, and I know that Gary said that he's got a lot of people that want the PSA 10, but how many people actually want to pay $500,000 for one? I don't know. I feel like it's not 315 people. But
well, if it is, okay, so somebody asked me, shout out to Lou Janu in the chat. Somebody just asked me to re-show what we were just talking about. Oh, not that one. That one's $800K. There is a Fleer Jordan PSA 10, $575K. Buy it now with 120 watchers on eBay. The seller is not one of the big dogs that I know of. It is Quality Cards.
I mean, that's a lot of feedback. It's legit, so.
That's pretty legit, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess, like, this question's come up a bunch, but, like, why would a super rich person prefer to spend $750 on an auction house versus $575 on eBay? I know rich people. I know how they work. They would love to save $200,000, and they would love it. They love saving $200,000. So like, why aren't they binning these eBay ones? And the Kobe refractor PSA 10 getting binned at 500 has kind of like changed things slightly on the way you and I think about it. Of like, dude, how come people aren't just binning eBay stuff anymore? How come we have to wait for a golden auction? Like, go back to trying to find deals on actual eBay, and like you can still. And if you're really like itching to spend $600K on a Jordan Fleer PSA 10, here you go. It's right here. Why do you need to wait for the next auction to hit 750? I guess I'm just not understanding that.
So Bitcoin Luke says, why would he sell that for $575? Why wouldn't he send it to Golden?
Can I explain that real quick?
Yes.
Because there's 315 of them, and the supply is very high. And what happens is, when there's a massive run-up on something, there's people that want to take profits immediately. They don't want to wait. They don't trust waiting 2 months to send it to an auction site and waiting for the payment to come back. They want to go cash in immediately. And so what happens is, when there's high supply, someone's going to undercut that guy, and someone's going to undercut that guy, and we're going to be back at 400,000. That's potentially what could happen based on just how many there are. It's just simple supply and demand.
Yep. And as Bro Hio points out, no auction premium to buy. Yeah.
The interesting thing about the 575 bin is that he is at the mercy of whoever hits the bin versus an OBO where he gets to vet the buyer and like look at their feedback before he accepts an offer. So at the 575, he could have a 2 feedback person hit the bin. He's now on the hook for shipping to that person, and he's at the mercy of. So that's pretty risky.
It is risky. He's also at the mercy of somebody hitting the bin, not paying, and wasting his time because they understand that it's not necessarily good for the market for that card to have a 575K bin sitting untouched for an extended period of time.
What do you think the guy that just paid 720K is feeling right now? He's probably pissed. Someone
pissed, but
undercutting him.
If that person has a few options in front of them, and they very well might say to themselves, I'm just going to put this card away. I understood that there was going to be some volatility with it. Historically, there's been volatility with it. I'm just going to tuck this card to the side and just not worry about or think about it for a few years.
I don't. Why has the Jordan PSA 10 become the card and it's rare in the last month versus the last 30 years? I guess I'm just not understanding.
Yeah, I don't see it. So this was a question came in from Iconic Card Collector. He said, has the landscape of high-end cards changed for good? For years, many high-end collectors have been focused on rare sought-after sets like PMGs, only to see the base Jordan PSA 10 outsell the PMG Red PSA 6.5 by over 200K. It seems like the new high-end investors are focused on recognizable rookie cards in high grades rather than unique sets. Are we at a crossroads, or are the rare sets like PMGs just underpriced? Would love to get your thoughts. Also, I just want to say the only alternative isn't that this is a new normal or that PMG is underpriced. It very well could be that the PSA 10 is overpriced. It also could be that both of them are overpriced. Those are additional possibilities as well. But instead of focusing on the specifics here, I'm obviously extremely biased being the owner of a PMG Red. Maybe instead we can speak to the more general nature of this question, which is there a shift afoot right now to cards like the Fleer PSA 10 and away from what we know as those 90s grails, basically?
No. The Anthony Davis logo man, it's pretty rare. There's only one of those. That sold for $1 million. Steph Curry out of 5 sold for what, 800K versus the 99, which is the more traditional investor type card. So I mean, people still want the rare. It's still supply and demand working its course on that one. I don't agree with that, I guess. Like in this instance, the Fleer PSA 10 had a ton of hype on it. That card ran up past the red. I'm not sure that like that one comparison instance is enough to say like common cards are passing rare cards.
Yeah, and I think this bears repeating a point that we talked about a lot. People are evolving, but they're doing it at very, very high levels. So, it takes time. It really takes time to dig into the hobby, learn its intricacies, learn its history. And maybe there's even a little bit of arrogance that goes on where people just, say, hey, I know everything I need to know about cards. I've been searching eBay for a month. I understand 86 Fleer Jordan PSA 10. That's his rookie card. That's the one I want. That's the one I need. And, me buying it alone is going to, I think there is maybe a little bit of ego going on. If I say this card is the one, or if I buy it, that's going to change decades of hobby history. It's going to change the way people approach stuff. And also, there's this risk going on that I think like a lot of people come into the hobby very excited. They really want to jump in and get involved at the high level, but they maybe don't understand that you need to auction watch for at least half a year to see the variety of stuff that comes up to get an understanding of how rare certain things are. And then you might need to wait for an extended period of time before the card that's really worth plunging in on actually shows up. I do worry that certain people are coming into sports cards and they spend their entire bankroll just browsing eBay over a month period, and they end up buying out a bunch of stuff thinking that like this is all that ever shows up on eBay. But no, there's cards that you have to wait years for before they ever hit the market or show up on eBay. So like the Multimetal Fusion Titanium, the card that just sold with Golden, the last time that card had sold was in 2015. It was in 2015 or 2016 on eBay. That was the last time a copy in any grade sold of that card. So like sometimes you have to wait 4 or 5 years for a card, a truly coveted card, to hit public market. So that's my bit on that. All right, let me
Hard
see.
for us to answer this, man. We're collectors. It's just like we're trying to get collectors to answer questions about cards that we've never been interested or chased after, and we see the prices. We can only react as best we can. I just don't have enough knowledge into like the intricacies of the Jordan Fleer PSA 10. It's just never been a card that's been on my radar. It's just not very interesting to me. The card sells all the time.
Yeah, and a lot of people own that card, right? So there's going to be a ton of momentum for that card when it starts doing really, really well. There's going to be a ton of momentum for that card. I mean, there's I don't know, tens of thousands of people owning that card who are like, whoa, this is amazing. Everybody's euphoric and happy about it. Speaks that momentum idea, that also the momentum can change course very quickly when that card isn't doing so well, and now you have a lot of people who are questioning whether or not they like it or they want it anymore.
Yeah.
Boulevard of Cards has funds coming in to buy certain cards up change your strategy at all? It's an interesting question.
I wouldn't say funds has shifted my strategy, but my strategy has always been fewer, better cards, and that's, I guess, just like personally, I've always enjoyed that more. But also, it was a financial decision that I sort of saw the shift into, what type of people were entering the sports card market, and supply and demand playing its course. And there was no other market where you could replicate the sort of scarcity that you saw in the sports card market. So someone like who's been in the hobby for a while and who is a collector and understands what cards are out there, if you can like corner those super hyper rare cards of iconic players, you're just at a huge, massive advantage over new people coming in. So that was just always a big opportunity. I think it's still an opportunity for people to like figure out and do the research and understand what those super rare cards are, and try to attain them versus, just buying up volume and spreading out into a bunch of different stuff. So that's just been a strategy of mine for a long time. I've talked about it. And it's not the strategy for everybody. It's not the perfect answer. It's just something I've done.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing that has changed, I think, for everybody is that the iconic grails in particular are much, much tougher to afford now. So there's just kind of no easy way around that one. It's certainly, if nothing else, it's meant that the amount of grails that I'm going to get to add in the foreseeable future is just much smaller.
Yeah, and like for you and I, like we've kind of seen a lot in the hobby. We've seen a lot of different cards go up and down. We've seen everything kind of be pumped at this point, and we're sort of jaded on a lot of stuff. That's just kind of how it is. So like the selection of cards that we actually want to get into our PC at this point is smaller than a lot of other people. So like we're basically at the point where we're going to be adding 2 to 3 cards to our PC a year if we're lucky. That's just kind of how it is. But I'm sure, and especially now with the prices, I'm sure a lot of guys are feeling the same way. Like, man, I got to wait 4 months to save up the money to get one card that I like, unless it's a, Ja Morant-based Prism.
A card that may have more sales in its purgatory file than in its real sales file.
When I was testing the purgatory feature on Card Ladder, I just was using that card.
Yeah. What are you reacting to?
I don't know.
All
Yeah,
right.
Harvin mentioned like numbered cards. I've always liked numbered cards, and I know you do too. I like knowing exactly how many there are. I don't have to worry about, especially on a numbered card that's numbered to like 50 or 100, let's say, and the pop in Beckett is like, you know, higher in a lot of, there are a lot of cards where like the population across the two grading companies is higher than the serial number, and like I'm not worried about that either because I know that there's definitely that's been cracked and regraded and stuff. I know what the supply is. I don't have to look at pop reports to try and guesstimate and figure out, and I don't have to explain it to someone else. I show them the serial number on the back. There's only 50 of these. You can look at pop reports all you want. There's definitely 50. So, there's not more than 50. If anything, there's less because they've been lost or still in wax or whatever the case is.
Yep. I agree.
Like Topps Chrome Refractor Kobe, it's not serial numbered, and people can guess how many copies there are, but we'll never actually know.
Yep. Yep. Speaking of that, we had a question from Cards and Candy 911. Will Kobe prices ever go down? Is it time to buy or sell?
Everything goes down eventually, guys. Nothing goes up forever. There's always a blip. There's always something that goes down.
I have some
So
observations on the Kobe market. Kobe has been embraced by a lot of people who were very much into prospects as their GOAT. Whereas, guys more of our bracket, early to mid 30s, and even guys in their 40s and 50s, we're really high in LeBron and Jordan. And then there's guys in their 20s too and younger who are high in LeBron because they've been able to watch his whole career. But there's a strong movement towards Kobe that people kind of saw as an opportunity relative to LeBron and MJ. And I think that is happening on a major systematic level in the hobby right now, where like guys who once were into prospects have all converged on Kobe. And his cards are seeing absolutely meteoric rises right now. Lou says sneaker kids love Kobe. There is definitely a group of people focusing on Kobe that are just, pushing that market to new heights. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just laughing at one of the comments. And Kobe,
That's a great comment. I just saw it.
he's always had, and this is just sort of my observation. Like you said, you just sort of like observing, and I do agree that like the sneakerheads and the prospectors love Kobe. Also, of the three big guys, Kobe has always been seen as like the one that gets disrespected the most of the three, and he has that sort of like underdog tone of him. Really, he's not an underdog in general, but like compared to those other two, he is. So there's a lot of guys that really rally behind that, and they love. Oh, I like Kobe better than Jordan and LeBron, and it's just sort of like this. I want to get a seat at the table, and with those Jordan and LeBron collectors, and Kobe's my guy, and they really like. And Kobe himself kind of has that same mentality where he's always pushing to be the best and everything, and he's just like he was just a very tough-minded individual, and people can really relate to that. Or they really they like that about him. His personality really sticks out to people. So I can see this sort of like underdog thing pushing towards him, but he's not an underdog in the prices anymore. He's not like he's definitely at the table. His stuff is very expensive. It's gone up a ton. He's matching values of LeBron and Jordan in a lot of instances. So he's not undervalued anymore. He's very much respected in the hobby, and as he should be. So
Yeah, no, for sure. Two things. Actually, one thing, I forgot the other one. You remember Grant when he was on Cardboard Chronicles? Because Grant is a guy who was collecting Kobe years and years ago.
Hey, Josh, do you remember when you had someone on your own show?
And yeah, but not just do you remember having Grant, but do you remember his story about when he acquired the Kobe PMG Green at a national? and I believe he made, one of the all-time great acquisitions there. I think the Kobe PMG Green has to be $1 million card now. He had it in that old slab from that Japanese grading company.
Yeah.
Talk about Grant a little bit as like a real purist Kobe collector who's been doing it for years and years.
Yeah, he's very defensive of Kobe in the same way that I'm defensive of LeBron. Like he almost like he likes to poke at LeBron whenever we chat. He likes to and you'll see him pick up Jordan LeBron cards always, but it's always some angle to get back to a Kobe card that he wants, and I always see it. He'll pick up a huge MJ card, and I'm like, dang, dude, you're in the MJ market now, and he's like, and then I'll see him sell it and kind of swap it out for a Kobe later, and I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch, you've just been doing all this work to angle for a Kobe card, and that's how I feel about a lot of Kobe collectors is that all the moves they're making, they're sort of angling to get it back into Kobe, and the same goes for Jordan and LeBron collectors. And I've always liked that. Those are the kind of collectors that really resonate with me because it's like you're just, right or wrong, you're sticking with your guy. You've got nostalgic ties to your player. You've got reasons that they're the person you collect, and you think that they're better than the other guys in the hobby, and nothing wrong with that.
Another great Kobe collector I want to tip my hat to is Phil Go.
Yep.
We were fortunate to help broker a deal for him that landed him a 2007 exquisite Kobe. I forget what the card is, but it's out of 50, and it's one of, I think, 2 copies that has his 07-08 MVP inscription on it.
Yep.
That card was exchanged for a Giannis rookie gold prism gem, which at the time seemed wild, but Phil clearly knew what he was doing because that Kobe right now is highly coveted. If you're lucky enough to follow Phil because his page is private, you will see the craziest array of Kobe cards from every era, I think, that exists online. And I remember what I wanted to say before. Pole Kings had an Instagram post. It was a picture of Jordan guarding Kobe, and they said, best caption wins prize or something. And it was like, the picture reminds me a lot of that Kobe Chrome card with LeBron guarding Kobe. It looks very similar. And so I looked at the comments, which was a big mistake in life in general, and I saw many comments to the effect of student becomes the teacher. I saw comments to the effect of a GOAT and Michael Jordan. And I had to pause and say, is the Kobe hype a little too high right now? I had the thought cross my mind that people might be hyping themselves up a little too much. The rose-colored glasses might need to come off. The rosé might need to be put down when people are making comments like those. So
I didn't know you knew what rosé was.
I'm just gonna step out.
Dude, you're talking to
go away.
You're talking to MJ and LeBron guys. We have to get defensive right back at you. We both think that Kobe is the rightful third in this little trio. We have that belief because we're super collectors of, not super collectors, but big collectors and fans and diehards of Jordan and LeBron. It's just the way it is. I think LeBron's better than Kobe for a number of reasons, and I kind of keep that to myself at this point. So it seems like you feel the same way about MJ over Kobe, and I feel like LeBron's better than Jordan. But
I mean, you'll know that there's Jordan collectors. Some do get defensive about GOAT comparisons, and when I see it, it reeks of insecurity. I'll become defensive over Jordan when I feel that there's a reason to be. I just don't think that there is. But I want to make that comment, the one on the pictures of the Jordan and Kobe picture, because that's a sign to me that people might be deluding themselves slightly as to where the basketball hierarchy ultimately settles. And that delusion matters because people are buying cards and the expectation that history is going to remember things in a certain way that it's not. You might want to be a little bit careful with that. I see that my comment has provoked some people to say, well, so what? People are hyping prospects too. It's never a good argument if your rationale is like, well, other people are doing it, so I might as well do it too.
We're at the table. We're at the table of the big dogs, and this is a grown man discussion. This isn't a Ja Morant, Zion versus LeBron. That one's been settled. Now we're in the real nitty gritty of like, we're comparing across eras, which is impossible, obviously. We're comparing different styles, in some cases different positions of players, and so it gets really, really tough, and it gets emotional, frankly. Like, it gets very emotional, and the facts and the science kind of get a little bit blurred and removed, and it's just sort of like, I've watched almost every LeBron game that he's ever played. I've only watched Jordan play, a handful of times when I was very young, so I don't have any like emotional connection to it. And Kobe, I watched him with like a bunch of hate because I was a Suns fan, and he, my memory of Kobe is that I didn't like watching him play because I was angry he was beating my teams. So it's very emotional.
Yeah, and that's where cards doesn't need to have those same debates, because in cards everybody can win. But nonetheless, they do happen. Price A versus price B versus price C happens all the time. One great example is Mahomes' Prism Silver has now doubled Luka's in value. Mahomes is around 15 to 16K, and Luka's at like 8 for the PSA 10. And I pointed this out to some Mahomes collectors who I thought would, they constantly are emphasizing that Mahomes is so much better relative to his sport than Luka is to his sport. And so I thought that this would be met with a refrain of joy. And instead, the reaction was, yeah, but Mahomes' field level silver still hasn't passed Luka's courtside silver yet. And I'm like, this just never ends, does it? And the print runs for those cards are very different. So the Mahomes field level silver PSA 10 has more than twice the population of the Luka courtside silver, but it just doesn't matter. Because the point was never to make like a purely objective assessment. Like, there is a basis in reality to make that observation, but the point was never to like just get to the truth and then we'll settle when the prices are right. The point was to say Mahomes should be more valuable for reason A, B, and C. Now they've moved on to comping Mahomes to LeBron, which to me is sacrilege. But
and also, dude, like GOATs and legends and people that have been, cemented in these sports have just had the biggest run up in sports card history, and prospects have been cut in half in a lot of cases, and people are still being like, I can't believe people are even buying a single prospect card. You should only be buying. It's like, you just got validated like incredibly, and you're still complaining that people aren't buying only those 3 players. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. Like, you have that underdog mentality always. You always think that, the stuff you have is undervalued and everyone else is overvalued. That's a fair assessment. That's an internal way to look at it. It's fine.
Yeah. It's just the never-ending mentality of the hobby is my guy's too cheap and your guy's too expensive.
I'm always going to think LeBron's undervalued. I don't care what you say.
Yep. Yeah, because if you didn't think that, you would sell all of your LeBron cards. The fact that you find them, that you still own them, the fact that any of us own any card is the purest instance of the economic theory, which says, basically put your money where your mouth is. The idea that if you own an item, rather than taking its cash equivalent, you value that item more than you value the cash that could get it. So in a certain sense, any card that we own, we believe to be undervalued.
hobby is boring if we all buy the same 3 players. That's why the other players have value, is because people don't want to be spending all their money on just one thing, and the prices, if that were the case, if everyone only bought those 3 guys, the prices would be so astronomically high that everyone else would be free. And so eventually people are like, oh, the free, it shouldn't be free. I got to, like, supply and demand just sort of levels itself out. That's why I always in general think like the price of things and the market value in the auctions is the value. It's not overvalued or undervalued. It is, you're seeing fair market play itself out at every second of every day. There's not really like, sure, there could be a point where you buy something today with the assumption that it'll be undervalued relative to 6 months from now. That's a fair assessment. But to be like, oh, that card was way too cheap. It should have sold for twice as much. Well, if it should have, it would have,
Yeah, there are some instances where an auction ends at a really bad time of day, like maybe it ends at 3 a.m. Or you can have a situation where a seller lists a card for too low and it gets binned. And in that case, you can fairly say, hey, somebody bought this card for way too cheap. But when an auction runs and it's high profile, like, for example, a Jordan Fleer PSA 10 running with Golden, where it just doesn't get more high profile in the hobby than that, it's going to be very hard to say that the card is still undervalued after a deal like that, after a big high profile auction like that goes down. So, but even in Golden auction, even in PWCC auctions, even in heritage auctions, you will see cards, quote unquote, fly under the radar. And you will see stuff go for cheaper than recent comps, even if it's a card that's hot and that's on its way up. And it's usually those cards that are in that mid-range, mid to high-end range that will have that sort of effect happen to them. So it can happen, but it's not very ordinary. It's not typical for that. And also you can have situations with like high population cards where like 10 of them might sell in one night. And then, on that day, the number of available buyers was just dwarfed by the supply. But if you ran them one at a time for 10 weeks in a row, they all would get a higher price. So, like, stuff like that can happen. But I totally agree with your point that, like, there's no better test of what a card's worth than sending it to auction.
And on the flip side, if a card sells for what I feel, too high, or, it's sold really, really high at auction, I feel like, man, that's really high. That's what I feel, because I wouldn't have paid it. But clearly that's the value because 2 other people thought that was the value and they were willing to pay that. So I can't argue with something selling at auction if it gets paid, obviously, with that in mind. If it gets paid, 2 people thought that value was where it was and they paid it. And I don't even need to say it's undervalued or overvalued if the simple fair market will work itself out and 10 other people will list it because they thought it was too high and they own one, and then now the price will come down because supply went up. It's just these are just the economics of supply and demand working itself out. I don't need to be the one sitting back and saying, oh, this is undervalued, this is overvalued. The market will figure that out.
Right on. Shout out Summertime Cards. Appreciate that, man.
As my close friend Charlie Munger would say, me and Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, we're basically the same person, the 3 of us.
You got a better PC than both of them.
That's a really funny bumper sticker that you just came up with, which is like, okay. I sent you this the other day. My favorite memes right now. I laugh every time because I'm such a simpleton. Where it's like, LaMelo Ball has less career points than Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan combined. And you just read it and you're like, wait, what? That makes no sense. So now you could just say, I have a better PC than Justin fucking Timberlake. Where do you like that, man? I'm better than Justin Timberlake. My LeBron PC is better than his.
Yeah.
I have a better PC than Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, and Bono combined.
Dude, my PC, I got a better Michael Jordan PC than Bill Gates and Elon Musk.
And Bezos combined.
And Bezos.
And Michael Jordan.
I don't know about that. Michael Jordan might have like a closet full of crap that he discarded that he doesn't even realize is like $10 million.
I almost said LeBron, but then he made that comment about the RPAs that he owns, and I'm like, well, maybe I don't.
No, yeah, I'm not willing to take it that far. Plus, we're hearing from a lot of sources that athletes are getting very seriously involved in sports cards. So,
Yeah,
as they should, as they should.
But here's the question that the game that my wife and I played this week. So now it's your turn. I'll say pick two people you'd want to have dinner with, dead or alive. They're individual dinners. They're not together. So you get to pick two individual people to have dinner with.
Gotta go with Michael Jordan, obviously. In fact, I was just watching his Cigar Aficionado interview, which I think is his most recent long-form interview, and it was putting Christina and my brother Nick to sleep because Jordan would sit there and give like a 10-minute answer that goes down 8 different rabbit holes and hedges and says A, if B, then C. And Nick was like, I understand why you like Jordan because you guys are both annoying in the same freaking way. I was like, yeah, dude, I love this guy. Me and Jordan going back and forth, we would be able to discuss 2 topics over the period of an hour, but it would be in depth. Jordan, I got to pick 2. I don't know. Who else? I can't say you. Christina wants me to say her. I can't say you.
Jordan was the easy one. That's the tough one, and it can't be Christina.
Let me have the easy one. Who would be the other one? Does it has to be a living person?
No, dead or alive. I can do one so you can think.
All right, you do one.
I have LeBron is my like super easy one, so I'll give you my other. My other one was Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake. Can you explain that one a little bit?
I just have a man crush on that guy. I think he's great. I think he seems like a very witty, smart person. I like him in all of his movies. I think he'd be fun. And my other one was because of the pandemic and we have kids, I just had my wife because we like literally haven't gone out to dinner in a year because of all this craziness. And she liked that.
Oh, I bet she did. Yes, you, obviously.
No, it's too late. Josh gets husband points. You do not.
So, thank you for that, Josh.
Sure.
Yeah, Uncle Barry fitting in said Chris wants Hume.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that. I definitely would want to try and talk to somebody who made like serious intellectual contributions. I had this professor in undergrad who loved Joseph Schumpeter, who was an economist in the early 20th century. And Schumpeter would be the one, I think. He wrote a book that interwove spontaneous order theory with economic theory, and it was really great. I would pick a guy like that, somebody who's way smarter than me, and see if I could get a little bit to rub off on me.
What did your brother say about you, and how you relate to
Christina as well?
Charlie Munger, dude. My next answer is Warren Buffett, so I can finally be matched in my superior investing skills. Someone at the table that can.
It is a meme that Josh and I will send back and forth from time to time. Everybody in the hobby is Warren Buffett. Everybody. We're all just Warren Buffetts of cards. And, our investment advice is second to none. Just listen to us,
If you all would have just listened to me and bought whatever the hell I have, you would have been rich. But if you, and then that's what we joke. It's like, yeah, you could say that about like pretty much everybody.
Pretty much. Yes.
What does the chat want? What's the chat think? Justin Timberlake or an obscure economist? What's your answer?
He's not obscure.
He's someone we've never heard of.
No,
I've heard of him.
We've heard of him. Here he is, Joseph Schumpeter, an Austrian political economist, born in Moravia, and briefly served as the finance minister of Germany or German Austria in 1919. He influenced Milton Friedman, Israel Kirzner, Robert Solow.
Oh, why didn't you say so? Those 3 guys. Yeah.
Look at that.
I've heard of him, but Chris and I also listen to a podcast called Econ Talk. econ talks. So
I'd
we're
talk
not
to
the
this guy.
best judge.
20 people just dropped off.
Someone gives some better answers than we give. There's got to be more creative things than we've done.
Yeah.
History of Ralph JT.
Who would you guys say?
Charles Barkley would be good. It doesn't
One
even have to
actor is
be.
more than enough.
It doesn't have to be like an obvious answer. It could be someone like more random that you think like, man, that would just be like a cool dude or gal to just get dinner with,
Yeah.
Trump. That would be interesting. Jimmy Fallon. What? You knew Justin Timberlake and Jimmy Fallon? Hit me up.
Stone Cold. John
Tupac.
Wooden.
Tupac.
Norm Macdonald, low key, man. That dude has some
I
classic.
was starting to think comedians because it's like if I'm going to dinner, I want to have some fun. A comedian would be real. That's a good answer. Like a Adam Sandler, Dave Chappelle, someone funny. Adam Sandler would be good.
Christina, who are you two?
This is tough.
She's had 20 minutes to think of it.
Yeah, but I wasn't thinking about mine. I was like listening to you guys talk.
Okay, well, you take a minute and come up with yours.
Steve Carell would be really good.
Yeah, he would. Lamine James. First hobby figure mentioned, Lamine.
Chris Farley, that'd be good. You would definitely be entertained with Chris Farley because there's stories of him just partying like a crazy. Mark Wahlberg, that's a good one. I like Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Who else would be a good one? Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. He'd be interesting.
Wouldn't mind Christopher Nolan and pick his brain about the movies he's made, although the last few haven't been amazing.
Einstein, that'd be good. Tesla.
Einstein and Tesla. They might have
Musk.
a few words.
Elon Musk would be interesting. Although I've seen a lot of his interviews, Elon Musk's interviews with Joe Rogan, and I'm just like, ugh, you're kind of a dud.
Yeah, Ahmad Rashad.
They were asking Elon Musk, Joe Rogan was asking Elon Musk about the Boring Company where they like drill holes under the underground, and they were like, he's like, how did you, what's the process? How did you get permits? He's like, oh, we dug holes in the ground. And he's like, no, but I mean, like, you got to get permission from the mayors. And he's like, nope, you can dig holes whenever you want. We just dug the hole. It's like, okay, well, goddamn.
Dude, I would be nervous as hell driving for an hour in a tunnel that goes underneath a major city. That's just me. But I would start to get sweaty and panicky, I think, about 30 minutes in.
Yeah, they go super fast, though. I don't think it would be an hour.
Oh, like if it was on like one of them bullet train things?
My other one was Leonardo DiCaprio.
What's your favorite movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio?
Oh, dude, my favorite movie of all time, no hesitation, not even just Leo, Wolf of Wall Street. Best movie ever.
So you must have loved. Do you see that new meme from the Wolf of Wall Street?
No, which one?
Oh, so good.
Yes,
you saw it?
I've seen that movie probably like seven. It's like a 3-hour movie. I've seen it 7 times. It's so good. I don't know what meme you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a good movie. My favorite DiCaprio movie is The Departed.
JT and Leo is the whitest answers ever. It's true. It's true.
All right, here it is. Make sure I got my volume on too here.
Oh yeah. Okay, I did see this. It's pretty good.
Hold on, let me make my volume on here. Oh, that's good.
If you haven't seen Wolf of Wall Street, you're just really missing out. It's so good. Have you seen it?
I have. I definitely am going to watch it again, maybe even tonight, because that put me in the mood hearing you talk about it and then reliving that meme.
I just, as someone, because we have our own little small business, you just always kind of aspire. I mean, we don't obviously want to go off the deep end like he does in that movie, but you aspire to take your company to great heights. So it's interesting.
Do you have your answer?
Yeah, but no one's gonna like them. They're really corny and like nerdy.
Who, you? Corny and nerdy?
Teddy Roosevelt.
Right, that's your favorite president.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber.
And Mary, Queen of Scots.
Mm.
I thought she was going to say Justin Bieber. I thought all women just would say that.
I mean, he would be a good one, but I'm more of a Justin Timberlake girl because I was obsessed with NSYNC and Justin Timberlake as a kid. But yeah, I like Justin Bieber's new song. I will admit that.
I like the nerdy answers though. That's good.
Yeah, I like reading historical biographies, so those two are very interesting people.
Can we just talk about this for a second too? Now that I'm on Lamim's page, this got relisted.
What? Oh my God, I'm so shocked. Wasn't it like 45 grand?
44. So Lamim says over or under 44K.
Man, he's so good at the troll game. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I mean, you can just this stuff like this. Like, who thinks of this?
Oh, poor Channing Tatum.
It's funny too. It's like
Yeah.
it's just there's layers to this. Even BGS even has like the fatter slab too. Not to mention all the other layers to that meme.
He thinks of everything.
Oh, this one's great too. This one's
Oh, that one was good. We're watching Lamim James. It says sports cards investors nutting after a card they own sells for an all-time high. The best part about memes
It's like an Elmo video.
the best part about memes, like this is like what memes are though. Like they apply to so many things, and you could just like make them work for your own everyday life. It's so good. Every golden auction, dude. People are like sending me pictures of their card and the comp on Golden, and they're just like, God, can you believe it? I 10x my money today. That's so true. Oh, guys are getting real thirsty.
So Jay Pine asks, are you guys going live during the Super Bowl? No, but it's going to be a great weekend of sports because there's 3 good NBA games tomorrow for your pre-Super Bowl. And then I've heard people talk about this Super Bowl is like the most anticipated Super Bowl in decades. Like this Super Bowl is crazy. Enjoy it. Enjoy the forthcoming Super Bowl.
2020 and 2021 deserve this Super Bowl.
Yes. Yes. And just let it be a competitive game.
Oh, please. Please don't be a blowout.
That's all we ask. That's all we ask.
I'm just here for the commercials. I don't know about you guys, but
you and Christina.
No, that drives me nuts when I'm at, Super Bowl parties and I'm there to watch the game and everyone around me is like talking during the game and the commercials start and it gets quiet. I'm like, what the hell? I'm watching the game here.
You guys are doing it all wrong.
This is the backwards and the commercials come on. That's when you stop talking. Or that's when you start talking, come on.
Yep, pretty much. Do you have plans for how you're going to watch the Super Bowl this year?
Did you hear the part when I told you I haven't been at dinner with my wife in a year? Our plans are to watch the game at home.
Good. Same here.
You better
know what else I
adding
hate?
smart.
I hate 40-minute halftime shows at the Super Bowl.
Oh, I hate them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Dude, I can go watch The Weeknd on YouTube whenever I feel like it. I don't need a Top Shot halftime clip.
Yes.
I tune out all of halftime. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, you gotta watch!" Especially when the game is like tight or something, because like when you're watching a basketball game or football game, and like halftime, it's so annoying because you're like, I just want, I want a conclusion to this. I want to keep going, and it's like, oh god, 40 minutes of The Weeknd.
Remember when your guy ripped the
Yes.
piece of clothing off of Janet Jackson, I think it was.
Yeah, that was staged because
Yes.
Michael Jackson had some court cases happening at the time.
Wow, you guys have a whole theory exonerating JT, huh?
She said it was a costume mishap, but it wasn't. It was staged because Michael Jackson had some naughty court cases happening at the time.
Yeah, so if it was JT at halftime, that's a different story. I'd be watching that.
Exactly.
It was JT at halftime, just make it an hour.
So I apologize to all the weekend fans out there.
I don't.
I don't think I can name a single one of his songs.
No, yeah,
Mirror,
nice.
Cry Me a River.
No, not JT.
JT.
Oh, The Weeknd.
The Weeknd, yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know his song. Yeah, I didn't even know Shakira was last year.
I can name lots of JT songs. All right, do we have any more questions?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking over right now. Lots of serious questions and finance questions. Here, like, are MJ inserts gonna get a bump now that the rookie sales went crazy?
Please don't make me answer that kind of stuff.
I'll just run through some more questions here so you guys can get a sense of what people are thinking about. That's half the interest here. This is a good one from Card Gems 23. So something worth thinking about.
Nice.
Inexperienced collectors keep falling for and pulling the trigger on fake listings. They do, by the way, let me tell you. For example, a PSA 9 MJ rookie sold for a stupid low price, sold. Giving these crooks temporary loans, it makes me sick. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. That is, like, good to be aware of. It happens all the time. Not all the time. A few times a night. Half a dozen times a night. There is a scam sale of a card from a super low feedback, zero feedback seller of a card for 1/5 of its market value. And it's just not a true sale. And you want to avoid falling for those. Is that Corona?
Yeah, I made a mistake. For all my Arrested Development fans out there, I've made a huge mistake.
What? Corona, I mess with Corona. I like Corona.
I've made a huge mistake. You haven't seen Arrested Development?
No.
Oh, dude, that's like, it's just
I
like,
tried to get him to watch it. He was not a fan.
you know what I'm talking about, Christina?
Yeah.
Yeah, Job. He just like, he always like does something and then he's like, the camera pauses and like looks at him. He's like, I've made a huge mistake.
Arrested Development crossover. All right, yeah, let me get through the rest of these here.
There's money in the banana stand.
There's always money in the banana stand.
Somebody, Slices Slabs, wrote in and said, what are the thoughts on Kobe Bryant 2008 Topps, Chrome, and Refractor? Will the Refractor be one of the next $50,000 to $100,000 cards? I've seen that card go up, like the base card, go from like 4K to 10K in the last month. The Refractor's predicted value was 22K. I don't know, man.
That card has seen the most run up I've ever seen. Just casually seeing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, when did the Chrome base PSA 10 of that card be $10,000? I don't understand that.
Yeah, and I get why people like it because guess what? It has LeBron on it too. That's cool. But we have discussed how the Chrome card from the year earlier is like a much better action shot.
Dude, guess what? It's always had those two. That card didn't get released a year ago. It's been out for 13 years. It's always had them on it. It's not like it's...
Right. No, LeBron just showed up on the card, actually. That's a new addition. He just appeared on all copies.
Woo! For losing viewers, I gotta do something interesting. I'm just gonna get super drunk. That'll get people back.
we should be losing viewers. This has been going on for over 2.5 hours. If you're
Yeah,
still on,
there's people that are chatting with us right now that have been on for the full 2.5 hours. You guys are nuts.
you guys are nuts, and you're legends, and you're nuts. Please go leave reviews on the App Store, whether it's Android or if you're on for this late, you are a real one, and you have a minute to spare. So we would really appreciate reviews on the Apple Store and the Android Store for the app. Helps us
Smart.
out like a
That's
lot.
smart. That was very smart of you. You're like, man, if you're willing to listen to me blabber on for 2.5 hours, you're definitely one.
If you care about who we would like to have dinner with in a hypothetical, we would appreciate a review from you.
You guys are awesome. I'm just kidding.
You guys are legends. But see, look, everybody in the chat's like already done. I knew it. You guys are epic.
Dude, we have like 75 Apple reviews and they're all 5 stars. It's nuts. So just couldn't be more grateful for everybody out there reviewing the app. That's amazing.
Yeah, appreciate you guys quite a bit.
We're definitely off the rails, so I'm hoping you're enjoying this part of the show.
Thank you to Goats and Grails for sending me videos of cards he was picking up and different things he was seeing at the Dallas show. I
Oh, nice.
appreciate that a lot, dude.
I love the videos that come out on YouTube of people at the show. Those are so good. And you know that those always have super high view counts because there's just never enough content on that. So like if anything comes out, we're all just like dying to watch.
We are. There's tens of thousands of us living through that, especially in the COVID era. And every national, a content creator or two or three get launched into a whole new level of exposure just from having the awareness to make national related content. Like, just happens.
COVID. I wish COVID had a middle finger graph.
It will eventually. It will eventually.
I mean that in every sense of the way.
Yeah.
I want it to go down. I want to middle finger it for real. There's so many.
Yeah, I hear you, CZ. Hey, man, it did look pretty crowded there.
Yeah, and plus there's a lot of people not wearing their masks. I'm just not about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, dude.
Yeah, the Sasha T YouTube was really good.
Yeah, man. He's documenting his card journey in a really compelling way. Do you have an opinion on this topic? This came from Drake's PC. 1990s top finest, peel or no peel? Is it personal preference for the collector, or should a premium be placed on one over the other? I know some people are really strong on this topic. I know that.
I am really strong on this. So in general, though, the reason this is a conversation is because I feel like everyone in a perfect world would prefer to keep the peel. The reason that the no peel is even up for debate is that in general, when you peel it, you have a better chance of getting a higher surface grade because with the peel, they reduce your grade with bubbles and imperfections on the peel itself. So if you take the peel off, you have a higher chance of getting a higher surface grade. With that being said, I'm a peel guy. I like things knowing that like someone else hasn't messed with it. I liked it in its original state.
Yeah. Can't knock the logic of that. Sometimes no peel does look better because the peel might be bubbling. The letters of the peel might be covering the player's face. Some stuff like that happens, but really hard to make an argument for why a peeled card would be better than the card in its original state. Jordan says, can we get back to the fundamentals and just buy a few cards we love? Love a good investment, but let's make buying a PC card cool again. Thoughts?
I went on a rant in hour one about that. I wish, man. It would be great. I don't know if maybe it is happening and I'm just blind to it because of my rage for the other end, and rage sells better than happiness in media and consumption. So maybe I'm just like falling into my own trap. But I don't know.
Nah. There's a basis. There's definitely a basis for that observation.
Definitely spaces over tabs. What kind of monster likes tabs instead of spaces?
What comment are you responding to? I can't see it.
Someone just said tabs or spaces. It's a developer nerd question.
Oh, but I'm glad I can't see it. Oh, there it is. It's up there. Got it. Okay, there it is.
You need to watch Silicon Valley though, because now you have a tech startup, so you don't have a choice.
Yeah, no, I do. I definitely need a release from some of the fucking silliness that I see, not us doing, but other tech startups doing.
Dude, we are a booming tech startup, whether you like it or not.
To the moon. Space is 8-1. This discussion is way above my pay grade at this point.
I've turned Goats and Grails into a LeBron collector. What have you done for him?
Nothing, apparently.
Oh, that's a good question. What are 3 must-haves for starting a card shop, Christina?
What?
Look at the question. It's on the chat from Jordan. What are 3 must-haves for starting a card shop?
I don't think I understand the question. Like space, electricity, and customers?
Electricity? You're getting a little too technical there.
I don't understand the question.
I mean,
obviously, you need products, so you need a relationship
so like
with
assume that all the normal stuff is there.
Like you already have the shop?
Yeah, you have the space, you have the supply connection with Panini, you have
electricity.
You have like a ceiling and a floor and stuff.
You have light bulbs. You have
what are the intangibles?
Yeah. Or maybe flip it this way. What would you, if you walked into a card shop, what would blow your mind?
Yeah.
What would make you say this card shop is a cut above? She takes this question very seriously.
I do take this question very seriously because I'm thinking about all the shops we've been to, and I'm trying to like organize them into my favorite ones and what made them my favorite ones. So the person who's asking for his friend, we should have this conversation offline unless you want other shops popped up for your friend in the same area.
Throw a bone. Throw one.
You know what? One thing you have to have for me, a place that is comfortable to rest. It doesn't have to be like a comfortable seat, or like it doesn't have to be like a couch, or like it just has to be at a good height, like bar height, and like you want to be able to just stand there or sit there and like rip packs, because also you want your customers to continue to rip packs, because then you're selling more product while they're standing in the shop. People are watching them open product. It creates like an excitement. And then everyone like starts feeling that contagious like feeling of anticipation. What's she gonna pull next? And then people like Josh, who see that happening, go, these fucking idiots are crazy. I'm gonna buy that single in the case. And then you have other people who are like, I wanna have what she's having. So
yeah, that's good.
I'm gonna rip some too.
I like the comfort angle. Whenever I walk into a sports card store, I feel uncomfortable. Like I feel like I walk in and the person running the shop is like surprised to see me, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, am I supposed to go look at stuff? Am I supposed to buy? It's very uncomfortable for me, at least. I would love a very like, space where it's like relaxing and there's couches and there's beer maybe, or some sort of like bar, or I don't know. Think about it differently. Maybe don't just think about like your traditional sports card store, and think about it more like a cultural store. Like I'm walking in to experience the culture of sports cards.
Yeah. In a card shop too, whether the owners all realize it or not, they're not just selling cards, they're selling an experience. an escape. And so a card shop needs to have trade nights and meetups, and needs to be a place that people like really look forward to going to, and it needs to deliver an experience you can't get anywhere else. Otherwise, I'm just going to order my boxes on Dave and Adams, and I'll wait for
Totally.
it to show up.
Yeah, I think for me, it's gonna try to replicate national, where it's like a community of people that you're like comfortable around, and you're not the only weirdo walking into a store just trying to buy your box and get out.
Totally. I totally agree with that. The Bullpen in LA and Burbank in LA, both of those shops have that. They really, really have that. Like, it's a bunch of regulars. People love the open product there. Deals go down in the showroom all day. It's good. It's good. They both do a nice job.
It's like a chicken and egg. Like, you need to have a community already in order to be successful, but you need to be successful to get a community built up.
Definitely. Huh. Long Island Sports Cards owned 50% of a store for a year, and it was rough. What year was that, man? And why was it rough? That's an interesting comment.
Maybe a tough business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Card letter card store coming to you soon.
No.
Better watch out. Someone's gonna open a card shop soon.
We're digital, much
Yeah.
I'm talking about card letter breaks and then someone copying it. So now someone's gonna copy a card store.
Yeah, let him. Let them go down that rabbit hole.
Good luck. The year before everything took off.
That makes sense. Carvin, I share your vision, man. He said a little bit above, my idea of a card store is a cigar lounge with safes for people to store their cards, weekly whiskey tasting, closed door event.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Like, it needs to be, you're trying to sell to, like you said, the experience and the fun. I don't have that much fun walking in looking at a wall of wax and display case of singles I don't want.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Think about owning a card shop. You have to, what do you do? This is especially a problem in LA, when somebody walks in off the street and just wants to talk sports and ask the owner what their collection that they don't have with them is worth, and try to describe it and ask a million questions about, can I buy this, this, and this, and they don't buy anything. That happens day after day. You have to deal with a lot of silliness owning a shop, to be sure. And you got to be a people person. You really got to. I
feel like the Mark Cuban speech is about to come up. Like, do you want to enjoy a sports card store without the actual physical restraints of a sports card store? Well, let me tell you about Top Shot. We've got a digital marketplace just for you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's called Card Ladder.
Yeah.
We are a digital card shop.
Long Island, we got 2 boxes of hoops here. That was our mail day for the week. We went to the LCS to get these.
You got some nice balls there.
Thank you.
I like how he's just ever so lustfully turning around and looking at you. He's like, open me.
I like it. I don't like it anytime a guy's looking over his shoulder at me like that.
Jeez. God.
Hold on. What are we really doing here?
I think that's our cue to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think so. All right, guys. Thank you. Coming up on 3 hours. Thank you for tuning in. It's always bittersweet when the crossover concludes and we have to wait a whole long week. But maybe something big will happen this weekend, and we'll get to do a bonus episode, maybe.
And maybe it won't, and we'll do it anyways.
that is, we might need to go live after the Super Bowl, depending upon what happens.
No matter what happens.
Yeah, or no matter what happens.
All right, see you, bud.
See you guys. See you, man.
Imagine everything you love about the hobby in the palm of your hand. An entire store at your fingertips. Everything you need to know about cards is within your grasp. Unlock the secrets of the hobby. Plus, so much more. You don't have to imagine anymore. It's here. Card Ladder. Get the app today.